Afternoon and welcome to Bellerive Oval. Alistair Nicholson and the former Brisbane Bulldogs and Devils big man Trent Bartlett with you for round 2 TSL action. We've got the old arch rivals in Glenorchy and Clarence doing battle this afternoon. And Trent, no love lost here.
Certainly not, Alistair. It's going to be a fantastic contest. Two old clubs just going at it, so it's going to be great.
Clarence coming off a loss to North Hobart last week. They led for 3 quarters. I'd imagine they would have been stung by that.
Yeah, look, I think it came as a surprise to them. They're tipped as one of the favourites of the competition, so I think they'll bounce back this week.
And playing here at Bellerive Oval as opposed to North Hobart, where there's a lot more space, do you think that'll suit their game style today?
Yeah, I think the wide open stances, getting the ball out wide, then bringing in their key targets will be an advantage for them on the bigger ground.
All right, let's take a look at the ladder so far in the TSL. Now, a couple of clubs have played more games than others. North Launceston on top. Does that come as a surprise?
It certainly does, Alistair. It's amazing, really. They've just come from nowhere. They've got a lot of speed in their side, and they've taken a couple of sides by surprise. And Bernie, in that first game, was a real good win. Lauderdale
hasn't played for a couple of weeks, but had a good first-up win against South Launceston. So the only team that didn't play in the last state league has made a good start to the second one.
I think Lauderdale will surprise a few sides. I think it might take them some time to get into the season, but I think they will surprise.
Let's take a look at the other half of the ladder, and Launceston coming off 3 premierships in the NTFL, and they have won 1 game from 2 so far. They lost to North Launceston last week in a game they were expected to win.
Yeah, look, I think Launceston are finding their feet. There's probably a couple of clubs that have caught them by surprise, but they'll be a power in the competition.
Hobart going up to play Launceston today, so an interesting one for the Tigers coming off a hiding from Glenorchy last week. Darren Crawford, he's only a small forward, but he's leading the goal kickers. He kicked 6 in the win over Launceston last week, an impressive young player who did play a few games with the Devils, Trent.
He played a few games. He kicked 100 goals last year in the NTFL. He's a real live wire down forward. You know, he take a big mark and do some spectacular things, can do some really silly things as well, but he'll be a good player.
What are your expectations from Glenorchy this afternoon? They've obviously won a couple of premierships in the SFL. They lost to Launceston in round 1, but had a good win against against Hobart last week.
Yeah, look, I think Glenorchy are going to be a good side. I think they've got a young side. They just need to develop that side, and they've been doing it for a number of years in their preparation, in their planning. So I think, look, they played some good footy the first couple of games, but I think they just need to come longer into their forwards and be more attacking, I think.
All right, we've got a couple of familiar faces on the boundary line for us this afternoon. Chris Smythe is going to join us in commentary as well, and joining him on the boundary is Martin Cudahy. Good afternoon, fellas.
Good afternoon. I tell you what, Alistair, conditions are pretty well perfect down here, Smythe. Good day for football.
Oh, terrific day for football. You know, not much wind, nice cool conditions. Ground looks perfect condition.
That's right. And Clarence, what do you make of them? They wouldn't want to be 0-2, you'd think.
Oh, definitely not. They would have marked down last week as a win in their first block of 4 matches. Traditional rivals, Glenorchy, they wouldn't want to be 0-2 come tonight.
Well, that's right. There's a lot on the line, as you boys mentioned. I spoke to Brett Gapin a short time ago and asked him about bouncing back from last weekend's loss.
Yeah, definitely. Very disappointing. Again, we're pretty confident going into the game, but looking forward to bouncing back, and who better to do it against than our arch rivals in Glenorchy.
That was going to be my next question. How good is this ride, Brett?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's been going since I last sort of played back in this footy club back in sort of 2000, and we've got the old chip on today, and all the old players are up there. So apart from finals, it's probably the biggest stage of this both footy clubs.
What are you expecting from Glenorchy today?
They're a very good outfit, very well drilled. Went and watched them the last couple of games. So very good with their hands and in close last week. So if we can match them there and obviously use our legs and our strengths, hopefully the big forwards will kick a winning score for us.
Thanks for your time.
Cheers.
Brett Gapin is relieved to see that James Baker is named there in the following division, because he went to the tribunal this week. He got 2 weeks, 2 suspended for biting of all things, and even though Matthew Gapin said he didn't bite me and James Baker said I didn't bite him, and then they appealed, and he's out there on the field today for the Roos.
Yeah, look, they'll be very happy that he's got off. So, look, obviously he got found guilty, then he got found not guilty. So that's the wonders of a football tribunal. So, look, it's good that he's out there, though. He's a good player.
Who are some other names to watch for the Clarence Roos this afternoon?
Oh, look, you can't go past their 2 big forwards. You've got Sharman at full forward, and you've got Drury at centre-half forward, and you've got Big Brad Dutton in the forward pocket. So I think if they can get it long and fast into them, that's the key.
All right, well, Glenorchy no doubt full of confidence after a 92-point win over Hobart on Good Friday. Boys, what's the mood like down there in the Glenorchy rooms today?
Well, Smythe got into the Glenorchy rooms a little while ago. You had a look at them. They've been warming up on the ground behind us. What do you reckon?
Oh, they're very, very keen today, Martin. 8-day rest from last week. Good win last week. Traditional rivals, Clarence. They're absolutely pumped for a big one today.
I did manage to speak to Ben Reid, the coach of Glenorchy, a short time ago, and I asked him about that good win last weekend.
Yeah, we were very happy with last week's performance up at the TSL on Good Friday. To run away and win by that amount was pleasing for the group. But to run away was the way the boys did it, and to play a really solid 3.5 quarters is good at this time of the year.
You must be looking forward to this game. Clarence, Glenorchy, they're always pretty tough hit-outs.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, look, for as long as I can remember, it's been a great rivalry there. There's plenty of passion involved. The footy really does go up another notch. So, yeah, our boys are really looking forward to it, as I'm sure they are. It should be a good day's footy.
How are the boys feeling?
Yeah, good. They're a really professional bunch. They prepare themselves really well. They don't get overhyped or need hyping up too much. So, yeah, they're ready to go, ready to perform, hopefully.
Ben Reid, thanks for your time.
Thanks very much, mate.
And the big in for Glenorchy this afternoon is, of course, Jesse Crouch. He's been named on the interchange bench, Trent, but you'd expect he'd have a role to play through the midfield today.
Look, he's a very good player, William Leach medalist, who would be a big inclusion for Glenorchy. Also looking forward to watching some of their goal kickers, particularly Bowring kicking 6 goals last week, and also young Hunt can take a good mark, and if he's on song, he can kick some goals too.
Kicked 60 goals in about 16 games in the SFL last year. Hunt had some problems with injuries, but when he gets his hands on it, he's pretty deadly around goal, isn't he?
He's very good. I think someone like Bowring with him, who's bigger and more experienced, will be a real asset for him to not be the main target.
It's a big day of footy this afternoon in the TSL. There are 5 games on Saturday afternoon in the TSL today, and we've also got South Launceston playing Burnie up at Youngtown. The Dogs lost in the opening round, and Burnie with 1 win from 2 games. Launceston up against Hobart. I know Todd Lewis has had the boys working hard during the week, and he'll want them to bounce back after last week's hiding. We'll turn the page, and down at Lauderdale now, there's going to be a country footy feel down there, because the boys are going to be out in force on the backs of their utes, sitting on couches. There's no grandstand for anyone. They take on North Hobart. And Devonport versus North Launceston. I know this game's been highly anticipated up on the northwest coast. It's testing the new lights at Devonport Oval, and a wonderful thing for football up there, Trent.
Oh, look, it's fantastic. Night footy, we're going to have 5 or 6 games of night footy this year. Most of them on the coast where the venues are, but look, it's the big crowds hopefully can get along and watch some good football.
Now today we are playing for the Bingley-Linton Cup. 2 greats of both clubs, of course. John Bingley coached Clarence to the premiership, their first premiership, and Gary Super Linton, a member of the Glenorchy team of the century. And the Clarence boys wearing the old maroon and white this afternoon. It looks pretty good out there.
It does. It's I'm a real one for the nostalgia and the and tradition, and I think it's great that they've got the jumper on. I can just see Big Bad Dutton and Greg Sharman down the goal square, so they're looking fired up.
Clarence kicking to the river end in the opening term. Left of screen, second round of the TSL underway. Chivers won the hit out. Little kick out of there, bursting through O'Gary. Glenorchy first into attack with a penetrating kick. Bowring, will he get a free kick here? How's the umpire read it? It's going to go the way of Clarence. Triffett. Not a good kick. Opened the door. The mark was dropped by Glenorchy in the end by Spencer. He really had to stretch for it, but maybe a little sign of nerves there from Andrew Triffett.
Yeah, look, I think, look, he's an experienced player, so look, the boys always 5 minutes, the first 5 minutes of a game is take some time to settle down.
Boundary throw in the forward pocket. Bowring was out after it. Triffett grabs, he's dumped and taken over the boundary line.
Yeah, look, a feature of the last few games have been the tackling, and I think it looks like they're going to start that with again, and a hard contest, plenty of body on body, and that's what we like to see.
Archer up against Carlton. Carlton taps it to a dangerous position. Umpire's whistle goes, and it will be a free kick to Clarence. There's Cameron Thurley giving it back to Archer. Thurley's going to be an important player for the Roos today.
Look, he's just his mopping up down back is critical to Clarence and to them winning the game of footy.
Drury takes the mark on the half-back flank for Clarence. Comes laterally, dangerous kick. Brett Gapin couldn't complete the mark. Pacelli regathers, gets away the hand pass. Here's David O'Gary. Had to go backwards in the end. Didn't see an option he liked. Little toe poke from Chivers. Charging out to meet it, Spencer. Pacelli, wrapped up by Blight. We'll have a bounce, will we? No. We'll have another free kick to go to Clarence in defence. Not quite sure what that one was for. Maybe holding the ball. Blight chips inside the centre square. Gapin for his first possession of the afternoon. Not a good one. Lands in the arms of Jake Cox.
Glenorchy have done all the attacking. They just can't quite get a score on the board. Cox through the middle of Bellerive Oval. It's a 2-on-2 contest. Blight holds his feet. Just didn't nicely for him. Setchell ducked his head. He's got to get rid of it now. Play on's the call. Opportunity, snap around the body. Oh, Bowden just couldn't quite haul it in. Glenorchy have scored. Came from Bowring. Had a nice little bag of goals last week, Trent.
Yeah, look, 6 goals. I'm looking forward to watching him play. I'm looking forward to him taking some big marks and kicking some goals. Being an old forward, that is.
He likes the big men, Smiley. He's been talking them up. He's been talking up Dutton and Sharman already.
A good big man always beats a good small man, Alistair.
Not for pace, Trent.
Maybe not.
Terrific grab there by Shivers. Little toe poke. It's better this time. Couldn't find Spencer. Gary had to go low. Setchell applied some pressure. The numbers are with Glenorchy. Sam Shivers gets it forward. The umpire spotted the free and it's going to Clarence. And Clarence must have had 4 or 5 free kicks deep in their defensive 50 this term.
Looks like the forwards are just starting to get underneath the football a little bit, so they might just have to lower their eyes, Glenorchy, as they go forward.
Blight's kick was affected. Crashing in Pacelli. He's getting involved early. This is Bryce O'Gary. He's wrapped up by Webley. They lock it up and will have a bounce. 45 out from the Glenorchy goal. Must be their 5th or 6th entry inside 50. So far, they've only been able to put it behind on the board. Over the back, Carlton got the hit out. That's a high tackle on Gapin, possibly. The umpire hasn't seen it. We'll have another bounce. Brett Gapin. They've done well to sign him as playing coach. I know North Hobart thought the deal was done that would send the former Clarence Roos over to the Demons to join his brother. Here's Gapin again. They call ball. The umpire says free kick. And another one to Clarence. Thurley, his kick affected. Setchell got it. Hand passed into the centre square. Charging at the football was O'Gary. Webley's got it for Clarence now. Good tackling pressure early, Trent.
Doesn't seem to be a lot of movement from Clarence through the midfield. They seem to be getting the ball out of the half-back and it's just really, really stationary at the moment. They need their wingmen and their forwards to come up and present and create some space, I think.
Well, Webley certainly presented last week. He was wonderful. Clarence yet to get it inside 50. Just the slightly attacking side of the centre square for Glenorchy. O'Gary got his fist to it eventually. Setchell's in and under. Archer, clever to Gapin. Now they've got some movement. First to the fall will be Clarence. Drury. Around the body was clever. Good vision. Deep in the pocket. Taken high. Could have been a free kick to Shivers. Whitelaw was there. Glenorchy can settle. They have the numbers on the rebound. The transition football's important. Hills. Has some support. Muir. Got to get rid of it. Good tackle.
Even though he's been tackled, that's what Glenorchy have got to do. They've got to run the ball out of the Clarence's forward line because they've got big men down there. They can do that. That's a real advantage for them, I think.
Curley on Dutton. Taken to ground. The umpire said, we'll throw it in. Great story, Ben Curley coming back. Good tackle from Sharman.
Great tackle from Sharman. Look, just the pressure early has been good again. It has been for the first couple of weeks of the season. Now it's continuing on, which is great to see.
Shark by French. Gets a quick kick out of the danger zone for Glenorchy. Hills overran it. He was given a little nudge by Thurley. Good body work. He gave it straight to Webb. Here's Pacelli. If he gets his hands on it today, look out Clarence. O'Gary charges forward, kicks inside 50. No one there for Glenorchy. Running back with the flight of it, Blood. Beautiful hand pass and on the overlap, Triffett. Kicks to the half-back flank. Mark taken by Green. He gives to Webley. Webley's going to switch the play. Here's French. French with room to move. Goes in the Gapin direction. This is looking good for Clarence. Whitelaw calls for it. He wants to go longer. Into the pocket. Setchell takes the mark and play on and kick a goal. Setchell swings it back and puts it through.
Yeah, very good play. Good. Clarence brought the brought the football out to the wide side of the ground, the fat side as they call it, and just worked the ball inside their forward 50 with Setchell running onto it, kicking a very good goal. He's a good player, Benny Setchell.
Terrific to watch, isn't he? Good vision from Gapin. Just saw Setchell on the lead on his own. Setchell somehow got in space inside 50.
It's just the big forwards moving, creating that space. And look, Ben's not a renowned goal kicker, so if they can get some goals out of Benny Setchell in the midfield, that's a big plus for Clarence.
He's becoming one, Trent, because last week he had a shot from about 47 metres. We all wrote him off and he banged it straight through.
It's good to see.
Now the pressure's back on Glenorchy. They've had most of the play, but they're behind on the scoreboard. Pacelli got his hands to it and followed it up. Run down in the end. Hart volleyball. Bowden now. Good tackle from Green. Deserves to be rewarded, and he was. The Glenorchy bench anxiously looking on. Switch of play was effective. He's found Tuxworth. Drury's presented well already today. Contest with him was Dykes. Drury runs them, beats them both. Kick is good. Oh, it's just a little long in the end. The lead was from Sharman. Curley has a chance. Got a couple of options. Well, they've spoiled it. Cox kept his feet.
O'Gary goes towards half forward, out in front, good stretch mark taken. Hunt. Cox followed up his good kick, bangs long, goes to the hot spot, has it got the carry? Good mark, Bowden, right on the line.
He's a clever player.
Oh, look, that's just fantastic play. That's just getting into a tall forward, leading up, taking a mark, playing on, kicking it into open space lane, run onto the ball into the goal square. That's fantastic play. Glenorchy need to do that to win this game of footy.
Josh Arnold's just entered the field for the first time this afternoon as that goal's kicked, boys, and he'll be hitting straight into the ruck.
Thanks, Martin Cudahy on the boundary line. Jay Bowden gets the quick reply. Glenorchy be happy with that. It was good play from Cox. He got the original possession, then followed up and banged long to a dangerous position.
It's just the run they need to create from the half-back, and their wingmen just need to really get back and help their defenders out, and then just push forward and run into there and create an open forward line so they can run on the goals like that.
Green on Bowden's already looking like an important matchup for both clubs.
Yeah, look, I just think through that centre corridor, they've both got good midfield, so whoever the midfield gets on top is going to play a key role.
Archer won the tap convincingly. Pacelli's had his hands on it a couple of times in the middle. The umpire spotted the free. It's going Glenorchy's way. There's some ironical cheers, I think, from the crowd here. And Jamie Kay takes the free. Is that Glenorchy's first free? Rick's about to tell me it may be. Definitely is. Nash dropped the mark, and the umpire's going to bring it all back. Jamie Kay will take it again. 7-1 the free kicks. Just as we tick under 10 minutes. Cox, who set up the last goal, has good foot skills.
And good run.
Out wide now for Carriage. Backs himself and good tackle. That's about the third or fourth good tackle he's taken over the line. Triffett. His dad played for both clubs.
Yeah, look, and I believe he plays a lot like his father. So a bit of strength shown there from Triff.
Scrappy ball here. Pacelli dives in. Pacelli and Setchell, the two on either side, who really get into those packs, don't they?
Yeah, look, Pacelli is a very good player, and we know how good Benny Setchell is. So it's those two guys winning the footy. It's just going to be a great contest all day.
The bounce favoured Archer, but Crouch, I don't know if he got rid of that legally. Triffett, they've done similarly. Goes in again. Cox and O'Gary take him to ground. The umpire says mine.
I think Glenorchy will like this. I think they'll like it, bottling it up, frustrating Clarence, I think. This is good for Glenorchy, I think, that they can really take it up to him early.
Umpire lays it down on the wing. O'Gary won the hit out, got it to Crouch, who gets his first possession of the game. Diving through Pacelli, went without the footy. Triffett over it, could be a push in the back. Umpire says play on. Everyone stopped and started looking to the umpire and appealing, and really needed to carry on pursuing the football.
You always wait till the whistle's been blown.
Plenty of stoppages. Archer palmed it to his right. Pacelli read it best. O'Gary, here's a chance for Glenorchy. French needs to get around Green. Wonderful tackle, goal-saving tackle. Now Camerick applying some pressure on Webberley. The ball spills free. Who's going to gather? It's Swan looking for Webberley. Camerick kept it alive. French with a little toe poke. Green and Bowden trying to isolate Bowden in the goal square.
Glenorchy at the moment think he must have a bit of an advantage over Green, and Green got the free kick and away they come.
It was for throwing the ball. It was against Bowden. Setchell, good contest on centre wing. The umpire says, I'll have it. It's been a hot start, Trent.
It has. Look, it's great. It's just that two sides going at it, which we said at the start. And then if they continue on for another quarter and a half before the game breaks open, it's going to be interesting to see what club actually breaks the game open if it keeps this intensity up.
Drury applied the shepherd. Chance now for Whitelaw. Long bomb. Normally he drills those. Sharman tried to keep it in play, and he did, but not to his advantage. Clearing nicely was Muir. Sent it through centre field. Crouch has been busy since he's come on.
He's been good.
Thurley just mops up. He's got to get rid of it. Now he might have dropped it. Play on was the call. Bowden tries to shovel it out. Webberley gets Setchell in some space. He likes to give. Blight from half-back. Glenorchy have the numbers. Archer was strong at the contest, but Jamie Kay was in front. Curley quickly on with play. Kick was not quite directed as he wanted. Clarence can clear at half-back. O'Brien concedes some ground. It's got to sit. It does. Webberley, give and go. A kick, not where he wanted. Joshy Dykes, just outside half-back.
Gives to Camerick. Camerick spots the free man. Fellow veteran Jamie Kay. It went over his head. He's got time to go and gather. Little left foot kick from Jamie Kay. Not his preferred. Hunt couldn't keep it in play. We'll have a throw in. About 55 metres around from Glenorchy's goal.
Bit of a breeze has picked up, boys. It seems to be coming out of the river into the ground, so I don't know if there's a goal in it, but there might be a behind.
He's getting down to the finer details there. Martin Cudahy on the boundary line for us. Pacelli barges his way through, kicks inside 50, looking for a marking target. Hunt crashed the pack. Thurley gave himself some time. Swan, tackled by two Glenorchy players, dumped over the line, will have a throw in.
Great work by Hunt. That's what he's got to do. Continually attack the football, and if someone's in his road, just take him out. They won't stand there too long, Alistair.
They certainly won't. Dutton on the bench having a rest, the big fellow. Gapin pursues the football. Gives back to Webberley. He's getting plenty of it early. Good kick too. Drury takes the mark. Wheels around quickly. Archer and Sharman the marking targets. Goes in the Archer direction. Little push from Curley. High tackle on Setchell. And Ben Setchell, the guy not renowned for kicking goals, can go back and have a shot at his second for the first term.
Well, he hasn't been a renowned goal kicker, Benny Setchell, but he's probably, well, he must have made a conscious decision pre-season to push forward and kick some more goals, and it's certainly compliment his game if he can do that.
Well, I remember the final game of one of the great Glenorchy players in big Benny Careless for the Devils, as Setchell comes in, has a shot at goal. He's given this one a bit of a tug, and it's marked by Nash. And we talked about how great a player he'd been in defence for the Devils, Trent, and he was thrown forward that day and he kicked 4.
He kicked him in about 3 minutes too. He was sensational. He probably retired a year too early, Benny Careless, I think.
Speaking of Benny Setchell does get where the ball goes.
Oh, look, he's a magnet, isn't he?
He is. He's just had 2 handballs then, and he set Clarence alight. Inside 50. Long bomb. Archer's at the back. Muir's at the front. Sharman's at ground level. Had half a fingertip to it. Gapin kept it alive. Whitelaw across the body. Bounces just the wrong way.
And this is where Glenorchy really need to set up now and take the ball out of the Clarence's forward line. This is what could be their strength in getting their movement forward and opening up their forward line to kick goals.
Deep in the attacking zone for the Roos. Sharman was at the back. He got it to the right spot, the hot corridor. Muir's got to get rid of it. Eventually he does. Whitelaw taken high. No. Gives it off nicely. Drury, who's been busy. He'd like that again.
He's been good, Matty Drury. That wasn't a real good kick, though, but he's been leading up well and been a real focal for him after about the bit slow in the first 5 or 10 minutes, but certainly picked up in the last 5 or 10 minutes. Has been good.
Just a quick injury update from the boundary boys. Josh Dykes is getting a bit of attention. He seems to have rolled an ankle out there in the middle. He probably will get back out there, though, at this stage.
Thanks, Martin. Now, it was a bit of a concern coming into the game this week because we did have a cricket match here, an under-19 cricket match between Australia and India, which finished on Monday. And those cricket pitches in the centre of Bellerive Oval extremely hard. Gapin Takes the kick, spots up the man again, and he can go back from the exact same spot where he kicked it behind a few moments ago, Ben Setchell. Gives it off this time. Baker goes for goal. Not a bad kick. How will the goal umpire judge this? That's a goal.
Yeah, great goal. Great play by Setch. Obviously knew that he couldn't kick that one again and dished it off, and it was slid through by Baker. Fantastic play.
James Baker gets his first goal for the afternoon, second for the season, best and fairest from last year.
Gapin spotted Setchell in space. That's twice he's done that. Setchell knows where to run when Gapin's got it.
Yeah, look, they've played a lot of footy together, so you think they know what each other's going to do out there, and both work very, very hard. Both run very hard, which is what you've got to do in the modern day game. Brad Dutton's just wandered back onto the field too.
Glenorchy's had most of the play, but the Clarence are ahead on the scoreboard, and they're going forward again. Drury, just a little nudge. Cox has got to get it up. He's got two to beat. One of them was Tuxworth. Kay in and out. Aguirre runs straight back into it. Now O'Brien can set up play. Archer, just the kick was a fraction long. Muir, Archer with pace. Muir takes him to ground, has got support. Curley, a side bender in the end. He wants the boundary, and he's got it.
Very well played by Muir then. Didn't lose his feet, took his opponent to the ground, cleaned up the ball, mopped it up. Very good defensive work.
And Setchell's just coming off for Clarence, boys, and as Dykes gets his ankle cleaned up down here, I've just been told that he rolled the other one in the warm-up, so not having a good day this afternoon.
Not a good day at all. Gapin, clever little give to Swan. In trouble was Weberley. He has some support. He might need it. Went again himself. Now they're in some space. Baker, the attacking side of centre wing, goes inside 50. Kay's in best position. Needed to hang on. Didn't. Aguirre. Little push and shove and go. Oh.
But not a very good kick from Aguirre. Gave it straight back to Baker, who goes to a dangerous position. Getting back, though, Camerick takes the mark. That ball intended for Dutton, who was on the lead, and it just didn't have the carry.
Glenorchy have got to get moving in terms of they can't just chip the ball out of their back line. They've got to really create some run from behind and start to move the ball, because Clarence is just too strong across that their half-forward line at the moment, half-back line, where they can just mopping up like they're doing now.
Hills couldn't handle the football. Triffitt's going to get the free kick. Makes it a free hand pass, and Gapin by hand to French. French goes to half-forward. Drury. He's always got a metre or two on his opponent at the moment. Weberley on the overlap. Can he finish off? He's had a dominant first term. Wonderful kick. Great goal.
Yeah, great goal. Good skills. It was a good lead up by Matty Drury again. Gave it off, and then he had time to settle and nail what he had to nail. It was a great kick. 45-degree angle, 35 out, straight through on the run. Very good kick.
Back-to-back goals for Clarence. And Jeremy Weberley has been impressive in the first term. I'd say he'd be approaching 10 possessions already.
He's pretty happy with it. I tell you, he's causing Glenorchy some problems. Drury at half-forward.
Yeah,
Dykes has got injured, and now they've got Carlton on him, I think. He's causing them problems.
He's got good speed, Matty,
yeah.
So he can run too, so he can get away. Gets a good metre or two on his opponent, and that's always dangerous when you're big and can catch it.
And they've got first use of the ball again. Polanowski, young Luke. Bowl came from the call from Thurley from behind, and that's a terrific kick. Blight or Whitelaw, or sorry, it was Archer. But Whitelaw's got it. He's a bit of a goal sneak. He goes to the fat side, Dutton, 2-on-1. From behind was Curley, numbers at the fall. Pacelli's got to pick it up. Does the next best thing. Could have got a free, and he did. Just kept it in front of him. He was busy early. The last couple of minutes he's drifted.
He has drifted, but getting the second wind and getting up and going again, he's going to be an important player for him. They need him to get plenty of the footy.
Nash was taken to ground by Riley. The umpire says, I'll have it. Just on centre wing of Bellerive. Clarence with a very handy 12-point lead.
Umpire lays it down on his own. Nash able to palm it down to Pacelli. This looks good for Glenorchy. Webb bangs inside 50 in the Hunt direction. He had to veer to his right. Couldn't get the hands on it. Good tackle from French. Now an opportunity for Carlton. Check side. Did it go through? Ooh. Not quite. Cameron Blight just got the hands to it.
Again, when the Glenorchy have their forward line open, they look really good going forward, and they look threatening.
So Clarence, out of defence they come. Brett Gapin, another good kick. Drury, he's presenting wonderfully today. Wheels around, lost his opponent. Dutton, one out. How will he go with Curley this time? Puts the one hand up, takes the mark anyway.
That's very good. It's strength, and just controlled the footy with one hand, tapped it up to himself, and then easy as you like. Now, Brad's probably not renowned for the straightest kick, but he certainly gives himself enough opportunities to kick goals in matches because he takes lots of marks. So, Alistair, will he kick this one?
I've penciled it in. Parts.
Chris?
No problem. Gee, they look good when they get in quick and long. One-on-one.
Lets it go from 35, and the goal umpire hardly moves. And Clarence get a little bit of breathing space early in the term.
You mentioned Matty Drury before. He's had a fair bit of the football. He's had some strong marks just leading up. 4 marks, 7 kicks and a handball. He's been terrific in this first quarter.
And he's been moving it quickly.
He has.
Just wheel and go, or dishes it off. Clarence are looking pretty impressive. Glenorchy had most of the play in the first 5 or so minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, in fact. But Clarence has been all their way in the last 12. The umpire spotted another free. No, in fact, he'll have it again. What do you think of that rule, Trent?
Not happy with that, was he?
No, well, what do you think of the rule, though? What do you think of the umpire saying, well, I could do better there, and we'll go again?
Well, look, I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I think you bounce it and let it go. You know, umpires, they make mistakes like players make mistakes. You just got to get on with it, I think.
Well, they did that time, and Nash got it to ground. Pacelli just wants to lift his charges. Deep inside 50. It was always going to be too long. Beautiful roving. Absolutely wonderful by Clinton French, but the finish needed to be better.
It's exactly what they've got to do. They've just got to get the ball in as fast as they possibly can into their tall forwards, and didn't mark it, but had an opportunity for a small forward to have a shot on goal.
Thurley kicks in with those clean skills. Spots up Setchell. Setchell weighs up the options. Goes down the wing. Drury presents again. That time tried to take it on the chest. Probably needed to put the hands out and take the mark. O'Gary sends Glenorchy back inside 50 with a good kick. Spencer, good spoil from French. Triffett couldn't take the footy with him. Now another French and Clinton for Glenorchy. Tries to get it out for Carlton. Carlton goes again. Good second effort, although that time he's thrown it. And another free kick going Clarence's way. We've already had a few throws in this game, but the boys forgotten how to handball.
Good contest here. I'm not sure if did he throw it? It's hard to see from that angle.
I'm not quite sure either if he did get the Adelaide Crows handball, isn't it? Or the Adelaide throw.
The old Western Bulldogs flick pass from back in the day. Nash couldn't take the mark. Opportunity wasted by Swan.
Yeah, very lucky to get away with that Glenorchy, letting the ball go over the back.
The defence has been under pressure. Might go short, decides to go long. Muir, that was a good kick in the end. College gets it to Pacelli. He's just too far out to score, and he won't score from that beautiful pass. As Hunt on a perfect lead, takes it. In fact, it was Lyndon Carlton, but the umpire had gone. The umpire had blown time. The siren had gone.
5 seconds too late. But that's what they've got to do. They've got to open their four line up and really create that run out of their half-back line to have any chance, I reckon. They've had plenty of the football in the first 5 or 10 minutes, didn't they? And just got caught in contests in their forward half of the ground. So they just need to open the game up, open their forward line up.
Aaron French on screen. Green's been good. I think Green's got the job on Bowden.
It's a big job. It's been an interesting quarter of 2 halves, but Clarence has obviously got the edge with a couple more goals.
And Brett Gapin rallies them all together. I reckon that was a few words of just quick encouragement. And now he'll go and consult his bench coaches. He's getting some information from some pretty well credentialed people who we'll talk about in a moment. Goal kickers to quarter time. Dutton got the last goal of the term. Setchell, who's becoming a regular on the goal kickers sheet, has got one. Weberly, plenty of the footy in the first term. He's kicked the goal, and Baker as well. Bowden, the sole goal kicker for Glenorchy. 16 points the margin. I saw Gavin Kearney floating around before the game, boys, and he's working in a coaching capacity for Clarence, so one of the stars of the old State League. And Danny Noonan here today helping out Brett Gapin as well. Brett has had 13 possessions to quarter time, 12 to Weberly, and Thurley with 10. Interestingly, boys, Cameron Thurley was really well tagged. He likes to float free across half back. Last week, really well tagged by Tom James of North Hobart, but today Glenorchy hasn't elected to put a tight rein on it.
Yeah, look, Cameron's just got, look, he's a very, very good footballer, and he's got an ability to get loose and just get possessions and set him up.
Pacelli with 10 possessions, the Glenorchy captain, so he's got a bit of the footy and he gets a lot of it in close. O'Gary with 9, who's been very good in the first term. Webb with 5, Muir and Cox with 4, as well as Chivers. Glenorchy, as you mentioned, were very good early, weren't they? But Clarence got that running game going, and I know Brett Gapin was looking forward to the opportunity to play at Bellerive Oval today, where there's plenty of open space. They played on a tight ground last week, and here we see some really good tackling from Greg Sharman. It's Sharman's 50th game for Clarence today, so a reason for him to celebrate, hopefully with a good win.
And Benny Setchell's played a few as well for a lot of clubs, and that was a great finish. And this was Glenorchy's best 4-0 forward. In quick, in long, Bowden at the end of it.
Setchell again, just sneaking forward and giving that one off because he didn't like his opportunity or his chances of kicking having that shot on goal. So it's good play by Benny.
And a wonderful finish here from Weberly. 12 possessions to quarter time. He's only a young fella, but he really ignites the Roos, doesn't he?
He's been impressive, very impressive.
And there's Dutton with a neat finish at the 22-minute mark of the term. The term ran 25 minutes. There were plenty of stoppages, but only a 25-minute quarter. Let's take a look at the disposals, and Clarence just had a load more of the football, 84 possessions to 58. So they're getting their hands on it. More marks inside 50s. Glenorchy had a million more early and finished the quarter down 15 to 11. Hit-out's pretty even, and the free kick count. No wonder the Bronx cheers went up when Glenorchy got their first free kick, boys.
Now the umpires are doing a good job. They're calling it as they see it.
Let's get into the Clarence huddle and have a quick listen, or are they breaking?
Every quarter.
They are breaking.
That's why we're winning. Simple as that. Pressure and closing their space down. Man on man. Back six, fantastic. Attack on the free. Time and the right times when to go. Midfield good. Work hard.
What's Popper, boys? What's Popper?
Watch them around the contest. We spoke about it. Same as last week. They're not real good around the ground, but they're good in close in the contest. So we've got to switch on. When it's every time there's a stoppage, switch on, and then we run it. We're getting more of the footy around the ground. Just in close, they're pretty good at the moment. Forward line, fantastic, because you kept leading. You lead, you didn't double back. There's more space at Bellerive. We spoke about it. It's a massive weapon for us.
Great spot.
And look at this, arms on shoulders around each other. That was That's what she's about. We're a tight-knit unit. That's only one quarter.
Only one quarter.
Don't think of anything else. The next quarter. Don't think of the last quarter. Just think of the second quarter. Go again now. Go again now. There's the side. Out we go. 5-minute rule. It starts again. Intensity up.
Brett Gapin a little earlier, and he's pretty revved up, and just reinforcing to the boys that the job is nowhere near done, because they did lead for 3 quarters last week and couldn't get across the line. So he's trying to make sure that they remain switched on this afternoon.
And also he mentioned to the guys about closing the space down for Glenorchy in their forward line and for their defensive 6. And it's critical that Glenorchy can really find some space in their forward line. I don't know if they need to change it up and get all their players up outside 50 or get them all in the goal square, but you really need to try and do something, because they just don't look dangerous if there's no space when they're moving forward. So I think they need to do something there, Glenorchy.
Yeah, it certainly looks very crowded when Glenorchy go forward at the moment. Bowring hasn't really been able to get his hands on the football yet.
The centre stoppages is, I think it was 3 each in clearances, so it's been pretty even. You wouldn't say taking the ball away from stoppages has been a big influence on the game.
All right, Martin Cudahy, what was the message from Ben Reid at quarter time?
Well, as you can imagine, boys, Ben Reid wasn't overly happy. He said his boys were a little bit slow out of the blocks, a little bit hesitant. They weren't manning up. So look for Glenorchy to man up really and put a bit more pressure on. Ben Reid was happy with the first 5 minutes. He said we got the ball inside 50, we controlled it nicely, and we had plenty of forward pressure there. But he did mention that he wants to see a lot of things change. He wants to see more pressure, particularly on Cameron Thurley. He'll identify Cameron Thurley. So look to Cameron Thurley maybe even getting double-teamed in this quarter.
Well, Jesse Crouch has got him to start the second term. Clarence leading by 16 points. And the umpire says, I didn't like that one either, boys. I'll have another go. This is that rule that Trent Bartlett doesn't like, although last week I thought Smythe made a good point at North Hobart Oval where centre clearances are pivotal. If the bounce favours one team, it can really hurt the opposition.
Yeah, look, I think they even themselves out. And I'm a real traditionalist. I like the ball being bounced as well. That's Australian rules footy, in my opinion.
Special comments today from Trent Bartlett. Great to have him in the box this afternoon. Setchell, Baker, Clarence with the first inside 50 of the second term. Who's going to run onto it first? It's Drury. He's been good so far, gets around. And a lovely kick. Sharman couldn't complete the mark, though. Muir at the back mops up. Sweeps it wide in the Cox direction. Good mark. Son of Stephen, nephew of Jamie.
He's looked impressive, Muir. He's been good down back for him. He always looks to switch the ball out wide, which is a really good thing from a back line, I reckon.
Crouch ran into a brick wall. Pacelli tackled. Good stuff from Riley. Although a high tackle deemed by the umpire. Riley a bit miffed.
Shane thought he'd actually been pinged for holding the ball.
I think he did too.
Pacelli along the wing to Bowden. Got to get rid of it, and he does, but he kicks it to a spectator.
Not that one. At half-back, Weberly. Just giving him space on the mark just to try and create some more numbers downfield. At half-forward, Drury has 3 to beat. Cox at ground level, wants to switch. The kick was good, Shivers. Needs some run from behind, he's got it, Curley. Short kick was effective. French, just the attacking side of centre field. Long bomb inside 50, Clarence with the numbers, Setchell. Had to get rid of it and he did. Thurley mops up, good vision. Just knew where his players were, and one of them was Swan. Just still with it, Rowan Swan. Kick was too long in the end. Jamie Kay just sitting back. Glenorchy just prepared to switch. Camrick, Cox. Now they've got some space. Raiden Webb. On the 50. Oh, just couldn't quite drag it down with Spencer. Gapin. Blight's in there as well. Shovels it out. No one with clean ball. Working hard was College. He was taken to ground.
I like the way that Glenorchy took the ball out wide, tried to open some space up and bring the ball through again. So at least I think they're trying to open the forward line up, and they've got a couple deep now and a couple up, which is good.
Quick kick by Triffett. And lands for Tuxworth. Tuxworth, free man, Drury. Geez, found himself in some space today.
Looked very impressive.
So will he go back and have a shot? He'll have to let it go from about 55 metres. This time he decides to chip pass. Not a great effort, but it will land nicely for Whitelaw, who can run in and kick a goal. That was all too easy for Clarence.
They just seem to kick. They've kicked some easy goals, haven't they?
They have.
It just, I don't know, didn't quite see how Matty Drury got off his opponent there, but he seemed to have a fair bit of space when he took that mark on top of 50. And obviously didn't like his chances, so he's given it off.
And it just appeared to be, might have been David Camrick, who just ran under the ball. Just had to keep himself in that contest a little bit better. It wasn't David Camrick, I apologise. It was Jamie Kay.
You're right. He had to make it. He had to at least get body on the hand on the ball or body on his opponent.
Glenorchy wanted the first goal. Clarence have got it, and they've looked the better. Here's a chance for the Pies inside 50. Blight at the back was good,
good
on Spencer. Opportunity now for Bowering. Little kick, not 15, not paid. This way, that away was Webb. Back to Bowering. Across to the fat side, Spencer. They spoil each other. Working hard was French. Thurley. Back to French. He's got to get rid of the tackle. Yes, it was enough pressure applied just by Lyndon Carlton.
Yeah, good little bit of pressure there. It wasn't ferocious or anything like that, but he just put the... He knew he was near him and he didn't know what to do with the ball, and he just flustered him and obviously got a free kick for it. So now he needs to convert this.
Carlton just kept at it as French was about to take off. And by straightening him up, he's presented well so far, Lyndon Carlton.
He has. They've just got to start to take some of their marks, the Glenorchy boys. They've just got to hang on to them. A couple have got to stick, and that's a good goal.
It is a good goal. They desperately needed it. He's kicked 1-1 according to my scoreboard. Rick Finlay will tell me if I'm right. He's kicked 1 goal at least, I know that.
You're spot on, Smiley. 1-1.
You're all over it.
He had one that went off hands, Cameron Blight's hands, and threw for a behind in the first turn.
Nice kicking style.
Yeah, look, it was good. Kick straight through the footy, which is good, what you want to do. They can be difficult ones to kick, those ones. Only 15 metres out. Can get the yips.
And they needed it. Ends a run of 4 Clarence goals. The margin 16 points. Archer got his hands to it. Cox, who's starting to do some nice things for Glenorchy. Setchell gave to Webb. Pacelli looking for a teammate to run onto the handball. It's Camerick. Gives off. Chivers, the big guy, bangs forward, inside 50. Spencer almost took the mark. Triffett holds his ground and gets a high tackle from Bowring.
It was a good leap, but you need to start taking some marks.
Archer took 8 marks last week against North Hobart, the youngster. Gapin. Archer, Webberley, likes to run and carry. He looks like an 80s footballer, Jeremy Webberley, the way he runs and...
An 80s footballer, Alistair.
Well, he's got that flowing blonde hair. He looks like a wingman from the 80s, I reckon, Bart.
A wingman from the 80s.
He plays that old-fashioned style of get the ball and go.
There's nothing wrong with that, and kick it long.
Pacelli's free kick. Hills. In fact, it was Muir to Dykes. Back to Muir. Muir along the wing. Spencer in front position. Blight couldn't hold the mark. Spencer crumbed. O'Gary on the overlap. Inside 50 they go. Here's a chance for Crouch. Has to get rid of it. By hand he does. Carlton couldn't handle it. Crouch goes again. Little kick. Gathered by French. Tackled by Hunt. Over the line for a behind.
Just some skill errors there from the Glenorchy boys. They need to be a little bit more composed then, and they would have had a goal, I think.
They looked good coming forward. Just weren't quite clean with the ball in the end. But the pressure was again Webberley.
It's good.
He's kicked it out. The pressure came from David Hunt. Kicks the call, so he squares it up. Webb, play on. Inboard he goes to Arnold. Josh Arnold inside 50. Blight's in good position. Spencer nearly dragged it down. Green can dash it away. Handball wasn't quite spot on. Webberley works hard. Green was intercepted. Well read by Camerick. Here come the Pies. Pacelli on 50. Little give and go. Over the top, they might run themselves into trouble. Trying to take a free kick was French. Thurley. Experience helps. He's got his hands out to Riley. Riley can go to centre wing. Kay decides to fall on it. Tunnel balls it back. Drury is just about best on ground at the moment. Concedes ground to Riley. Thurley over the top to Webberley. Was going to give it to Green. Goes longer. Good hands. And he's got Archer.
Archer cuts back in. Now goes to centre half forward. Marking contest. Dutton uses the body. And he just takes those one grab marks time and time again. And for the second time, Whitelaw strolls into goal.
Yeah, look, it's just good body, and look, they're taking their catches up in their forward line, where Glenorchy at the moment are not. I think young Spencer, though, before he's getting off Blight now and jumping, which he's got to do. He hasn't got the strength to go with him body on body. But Brad Dutton was superb then. Just leant back, took a good clean mark, give it off, and another goal. They do it easy when they kick their goals.
2 goals now for Trent Whitelaw. He kicked one at the 3-minute mark of the second, and now one at the 8-minute mark, so he's getting involved.
He's walked both goals. He's just walked them in.
He likes playing around the big boys.
Webb couldn't quite get it out. Shivers. Likes to give by hand. And he does. Inside 50. Leaping high at the back was Hunt. Again, Clarence with the numbers. Good tackle from Pacelli. He just charged it early. And Pacelli's been one of Glenorchy's best. He's actually been at the contest.
He's been terrific. He's their captain and he's standing up and he's showing exactly, boys, this is what we've got to do. So hopefully he can go back and slot this one through.
Just kept his eyes on the body. Got the hands around the right region. Now he's got a chance to convert. It's their third goal. Clarence had this trouble last week. They couldn't quite get the lead out large enough to be comfortable.
Couldn't put them away.
Couldn't quite put them away. Pacelli can just keep Glenorchy hanging on. He's missed it. Just pushed it
That's a
to
bad
the
miss.
right.
So Thurley to kick in. How many possessions for Thurley now, Rick? He'll be another one. Number 15. Webberley probably has a couple more. Looking to bring it out of defensive 50. Again, he runs and carries inside the centre square. Another mark to Drury. Drury getting way too much latitude. Setchell can run onto the bouncing ball, but the bouncing ball had too much pace for him.
Benny Curley's got Drury, and Benny's the son of Roland Curley, who's just a genius footballer, but he's giving him too much time and space. He's hanging back a little.
I think he might be. Look, Matthew's a big boy, but he's actually quick. You probably nearly just got to play in front of Matthew and really frustrate him and make him lead wide, not up the ground, because everything Matthew's doing is up the ground, which is just sensational for a centre-half forward.
Baker inside 50. This looks good for Clarence. Sharman. And Muir, right on his hammer, did a good job. Gets the hand pass away, and Glenorchy can bring it out of defence through O'Gary. Bowden back to O'Gary. Back to Bowden. Racking up the stats, the Glenorchy pair. Goes on the left boot, down the wing. Only Clarence numbers there, and Triffett drifts back with the flight, takes a good mark.
He's quickly on with it, Thurley. Had to give very short in the end, and he did. It's a half-distance kick. Cox kept it in very, very well.
Oh, very well
Goes
done.
long. Blights at the front. Spencer, little nudge. The umpire said it was legal, and it was.
It's experience and strength.
Just kept body on body. Setchell, it'll sit for him eventually. And it did to French. Along centre wing. Had 3 to beat. It's hard. Pacelli and the umpire said, Riley, the numbers were too much. Quickly on with play. On 50. Chance for French. Thought he was going to move it. Spencer's there. He's got some space on Blight. Polanowski's filling the hole. Squares it back. Carlton. Good kick, was trying to find Bowden, and Green's done a good job on Bowden.
He's been good. Jay really needs to start to get into the game. He's had a few possessions, but he's just not doing anything with them. He needs to start running and carrying the footy and getting the possessions where he can deliver it long into the forward line for him.
Inside 50, quick grim grab. Spencer's at the front, might bounce through, it didn't. Shivers.
That was nearly a very good bit of play, that.
Indeed.
Nearly bounced over their heads and through for a goal. That's good play on the boundary throw-in. Reading it off the ruckman's hands and getting onto it quickly.
Thurley, good kick. O'Brien, over the head of Gapin. Mark taken by Camerick. His kick was intended for Crouch. Green gathers. Josh Green kicks out in front of Sharman. Camerick got it. Sharman picked his pocket. Camerick got it back. Muir. Hand passes over the top. O'Gary needs to get rid of it. Tackled by Gapin. The tackle didn't stick, though. O'Gary gets a second chance. Gapin took it away. Looking for Setchell. Camerick runs onto it. Doing a good job, Disco Camerick. Muir comes away for Glenorchy. Kicks inside the square. Spencer getting his hands to it. Just can't complete marks at the moment. Bowden gets some of that space he needs and then fumbles. Hand passes out wide. Spencer gets it. Kicks inside 50. Can they take a mark? No. Carlton wheels around, though. On his left boot. What's he done? And he's just put it across the face of goal.
They need to start hanging on to some of these marks, and they'll be right in the game then.
1-2 for Lyndon Carlton.
Wasn't a bad bit of play, though. Mopped up his own mistake and then had a shot on goal.
Blight. The kick was good, but just coming off the bench for Glenorchy was Hunt. He didn't see him, and it wasn't Hunt. It was, in fact, Nash. Gave Glenorchy numbers. Opportunity now for Muir, who's been busy down back. Bowden.
Yes.
Good hands. He is a very good player. One of the Clarence players is down.
I think
in
it's
that
Triffett.
contest.
Great courage, running back with the fly of the footy there. Fantastic courage. He is a hard player.
It was David Hunt who got him. He came off the interchange bench, Hunt.
Now, this is exactly what Jade needs to do. We were talking about earlier. He needs to push forward. Oh, sorry. We've got the... he's in a bit of strife there, Andrew, isn't he?
It is indeed. It was courageous.
Certainly courageous. There's no doubt about that.
I think it's a family trait.
He'll be okay. He looks like he's obviously in some pain, but he'll be fine. And
Yeah, but Bowden from about 35 metres. Well, Andrew Triffitt's the son of Bumpy Triffett, and Jay Bowden's the son of Mickey Bowden. Two pretty good players, and Bowden's drilled it.
Look, and it's exactly what Jade needs to do, and it's what Glenorchy need from him. And Andrew goes off there now. He's in a bit of strife there, but he's up and moving. That's a good sign, even though with a bit of help.
Glenorchy needed that goal as Triffett goes off the field. Had the wind knocked out of him. Great courage. And we will be seeing a bit of the original Bumpy Triffett at half-time, boys, because we've delved back into the archives of the ABC, and we're going to be showing a little bit of the 1979 Grand Final, which is something to look forward to. As a mark taken here for Glenorchy by Crouch. Off he goes, on the left, bang, another.
Just got the ball out of the middle, kicked it forward.
Yep.
Fantastic play, and that's that quick play they need to do. They need to get Clarence, get them off guard, get the ball moving very quickly, and that's great. 2 quick goals.
He was listening to a lot of music before the game, Crouch, but that would be great for his confidence. He dropped the mark a minute ago, and Clarence swooped it forward, and that will be wonderful for his confidence.
Yeah, look, kick a goal is great for anyone's confidence, and they need him up and going. They need him firing, so it's a good goal.
What do you reckon he was listening to, Smarty?
Oh, I'm not sure. He's a William Ellis medalist, of course.
He is,
2006.
He is.
Bit of meatloaf or something, Smiley. That's what you would have had in the ears back in the day, wouldn't you?
I don't think he's an 80s man.
Alistair obviously is, though. Alistair is, though, so...
Some good days of rock and roll, Trent.
Glenorchy have won the middle again, this time for a free kick. They're not out of the contest.
Oh, they're certainly not out of it.
Blight stretched high, did okay on Nash. Jamie Kay. Nash just stole it. Now they've got some numbers. Clever work from Bowring, who created the last goal. Right in the hot spot. Spencer!
Very good mark. That's what we need. Jumping forward at the footy. Hands in front. He needs to go back and kick this now.
And if he does, suddenly we've got an even ball game.
We certainly do. So he's just moving forward, and that's where the boys have been jumping sideways into packs, into stuff, which is what you need to do, but you really need to be able to jumping forward into the football and taking those marks like that. That's a good mark.
Simon Spencer from 30 metres deserves a goal.
And finished his good work off.
It's level. How did that happen?
Good play. Glenorchy were never out of it. They're just they've opened up their forward line. They're starting to get a bit more run. They're moving the ball quicker, and certainly it's catching the Clarence back line a little bit off guard.
You blink and you would have missed it, because it's 3 goals in 3 minutes to Glenorchy. 5 goals, 7, 37 to 6, 1, 37. So they could actually be in front, the Pies.
Just a quick update on Triffett from the sideline, boys. He just appears to be winded, and he should be getting back out there at some stage. And also David Hunt from Glenorchy. He's had a bit of a blood nose, but he looks like he's ready to get back out there.
Good to hear. Thanks, Martin. Inside 50 they go again. Spencer was the target again. Goes and gathers the ball. Hand pass intended for Nash. In and under was Arnold. Over the top they fly. That was Riley. And Baker and Nash lock it up. The Glenorchy fans would be happy with the last few minutes from their side. Nash won it down. Ball close to the boundary line. Going in hard, Gapin. And now taken over by Green.
It's sort of what Brady Gapin said. In close, Glenorchy have got a little bit better.
Yeah, they have. They're, I don't know if they're a little bit more... they don't seem to be bigger in the body, though, do they? They just seem to be more ferocious at the ball and at the opponent.
Boundary throw in. Polanowski and ruck for Clarence. Kick inside 50. Hunt! No, it's Chivers takes the mark. Quick ball movement. And Chivers was in front where the forwards need to be. Completed a good mark. And lo and behold, Glenorchy should have the lead in just a moment. On the left, he's given it a hook, and it's a behind, but it is a lead to Glenorchy.
This is going to have to give Glenorchy a lot of confidence. They're going forward, and their forwards are starting to catch it now, which is great. The on-ballers and the halfbackers can kick forward now with a lot of confidence that their boys are starting to catch it.
I thought you were a traditionalist, Trent. Isn't
Not
it
at
called
all.
a mark?
Well, catch it, Mark. It's I am a traditionalist in some sense of the word.
Just not in that word.
No.
Blight got it to Gapin. Originally came from Thurley. 3 pretty experienced players. They just want to settle things down a little. He goes sideways to Blight. Play on. Shivers attacks him late. Bowden couldn't quite drag it down. Green needs some help. Oh, sits beautifully over the top there for Arnold. Working hard was O'Brien. Can sweep it out wide to Baker. Jimmy was the call. Tuxworth cuts it inboard. Just no clean ball for Green, and that's play on. Tuxworth. Against him is Cox. Taken high. No. I'll have it.
They're starting to attack in numbers too, Glenorchy now. They're starting to get numbers around the footy, so when there's a tackle and there's a spillage, they can get onto the football and go. So it's a good sign as well.
Just on centre wing. Nash. Green tried to steal it. Bowering a high ball. Up and under. O'Gary was there. Pacelli was taken high. The umpire will bring it back. It's going to go to Shane Pacelli. Switches play. Kick has to be good on Curley. Drury's with him. Curley keeps it in front. Might just want the boundary line. Drury applies the tackle, and that was good. French taken out of play.
I reckon Curley then just need to actually put some body on. Just put some body and protect his teammate going for the footy there.
Nash at the back. Archer fists it forward for Clarence. Drury with another fist. Collected by Whitelaw. Kicked a couple of goals early in the term. Archer on the run inside 50. Lovely kick for Sharman. Sharman spots a target.
Just turned it over.
Unfortunately, his skills weren't on as Cox took the mark and come away on the left. Not a bad kick. Nash couldn't take the mark under pressure from Baker. Shielded the ball nicely though. Arnold. Crouch bounces off them. Had his handball affected. O'Brien. Weberley working hard for Clarence. Good stuff. Pacelli though gave Glenorchy a chance. Out the back it comes. Weberley. Archer. His hand pass missed the intended target. Cox there for Glenorchy. Tuxworth for Clarence over the line. Gee, really impressed with Daniel Archer. He took 8 marks last week. He's had a few today, but his work around the ground, he also wins plenty of the ball, and he's got some run too.
Yeah, he's got some athleticism, doesn't he? And he's improving. He played under 18 footy last year, and look, he's just maturing into a big body too. He's going to get better and better with age.
Here comes Bowering. A couple of handball errors, and that's a kick is good. It's in the pocket to David Hunt, but on his preferred right side. It's a tight angle. Thurley just misdirected the handball. It ended up with Bowering, whose last 3 kicks for inside 50 have found targets.
It's a key. If you're kicking, if you've got your forwards leading and you're kicking to them and they're starting to take some marks, which they are, it certainly just gives confidence in the side. Just builds that confidence.
David Hunt from about 35. That's a good kick. Not quite good enough. Good grab at the back with Spencer, but the umpire said it cleared the line. The Glenorchy bench. O'Gary was one of them. Thurley now to bring it back.
Thurley to Setchell. Said that a couple of times today.
Not much run from behind.
No, they've stopped, haven't they? They're probably just waiting for the siren to blow, which could be a little bit dangerous deep in Glenorchy's forward 50. But you wouldn't want the ball with a safer pair of hands than Cameron Thurley. And he's just turned it straight over. That's exactly what happens, doesn't it, on television and radio? I hear it all the time. It's just happened to me.
Welcome to the club, Trent. Bowden, nice evasion, sold the dummy, goes into the pocket. No one there for Glenorchy. French gathers for Clarence. Thurley, Blight goes bang. Difficult one to mark, went over the head of several players. Tuxworth, Gapin. Can they get a late goal here, Clarence? Over the head of the intended target in Sharman. Coming out to meet it, Curley. In fact, it was Dykes. Dutton gets down low. The two Glenorchy players collide. Dykes goes again. Put it out in front of himself. Now Curley. And Glenorchy can clear it through Bowring. Bowring by hand. Good run from Arnold. Gathers the bouncing ball. Now goes for a bounce. Calls for something. Spencer. Another good mark.
Yeah, good mark. He's just leading up now, getting away from Cameron, which is good. So he's learning to not use body on body against him.
Carlton had to punch in the end to bring the ball to ground. Riley out after it. Hunt all over him. Crouch keeps it in. Sweeps the hand pass back to Bowring, who's getting better as the game goes on. O'Carey went a little early, couldn't complete the mark. Webley dashes out of defence.
The tackle just had to be better. He's got it to centre field. Numbers might favour Glenorchy. The sit was nice. Cox has got to get rid of it. Great contest between he and Webley. Working hard was Thurley to bring it to ground. What a great second term, particularly if you're a Glenorchy fan.
Yeah, look, it was great. They got right back into the contest. I think they sorted out a little bit of structural stuff in their forward line. They were able to get the ball in quickly to them, and the boys started taking some marks as well. So that was great.
And if they finish their work, Trent, they're 5-9-39. Clarence 6-1-37. So 14 scoring shots to 7. But it only translates into a 2-point lead at half-time.
It does, and there was probably a couple of shots they probably should have got, and with a little bit of luck, then they could have had another shot on goal in those last couple of dying seconds anyway.
Whitelaw got the first goal of the term, then Glenorchy got one back through Carlton. Whitelaw got his second at the 8-minute mark, and Glenorchy finished with the final 3 goals of the term, and there'll be an upbeat mood in those rooms at the break.
Yeah, look, I think Clarence is still... They're still kicking easy goals,
yeah.
But look, it's certainly Glenorchy. They'll be wrapped with that quarter. They have to be. They've got themselves right back into the game. They played a pretty good first 5-10 minutes of the first quarter and couldn't score, and then they hung on late in the first term, and then that last quarter was just a really good quarter for them. The last 15 minutes.
Every week we've had a beauty on ABC One, and this is no different. Glenorchy going to the break with a 2-point lead. Let's take a look at what's been happening in football in other parts of the country.
It was a grand final replay in round 1 of the VFL as North Ballarat travelled to Port Melbourne, and the Borough showed they meant business in the first term, slamming on the first 3 as last year's champions looked anything but. Port by 13 at the first change, Adrian Bonadio on fire.
One of the big ones takes the fly and a grab, it's Bonadio.
It got worse for the Roosters in the second, the home side dominating all over the ground as mistakes piled up for the visitors.
So again, he just stands on the spot and kicks it straight down the throat of his opponent.
Port keeping the intensity up to go into half-time leading by 33. There was more of the same for both sides in the third, 3 in a row from Port blowing the margin out beyond 50.
And he'll turn around and give a short pass to Bonadio. That couldn't be much easier.
Majors to Marcus White and Oren Stevenson, the Roosters' only joy, as they limped to 5-12 at three-quarter time to trail by 41. The procession continued in the last, the Roosters crumbling under wave after wave of Borough attacks.
Turnover, and Kane is going to stroll into goal. That has been the story of the day.
The home side's 8-2 final term, seeing them win by 78 to bury some of the demons from last year's decider. Port Melbourne simply unstoppable in a commanding display, 10 individual goal kickers testament to their dominance. In other round 1 action, Collingwood proved too good for Geelong at Princes Park. Coburg beat Frankston, Robin Nahas booting 5 for the Tigers in a 15-point win. The Bull Ants held off the Bombers to win by 9. Nick Sautner kicked 8 as the Zebras crushed the Scorpions by 103, and Box Hill, Werribee and Williamstown all had the week off. To the ladder, and Sandringham and Port's huge percentages see them lead from Collingwood, Coburg and the Bull Ants, with the remaining teams yet to open their accounts in 2009. Claremont headed to Shark Park to take on the undefeated East Fremantle. And in perfect football conditions, former docker Riley Dunn opened his team's account.
And that was all too easy.
Michael Griffiths worked hard in defence but couldn't stop the Tigers' Ian Richardson kicking his first of 2 goals for the quarter. Dunn snapped his second in sensational fashion to give the Sharks a 2-goal quarter-time lead. Not to be outdone, the Tigers showed their skills in the second, Jackson Crabb working superbly with Chad Jones. At the other end, the Sharks were all class.
Kennedy the target, Kennedy the mark. He goes back and will load up again. Looking for McCary and or the goal line down there. He's got the ladder.
East Freo maintaining their lead at half-time. The third quarter saw a star of the future take the next step in his career, Anthony Kayanga, with the goal of the day.
He could run all the way here, Anthony Kayanga. Will he share it? No, he won't. He goes for goal. Well done by Kayanga.
Claremont was trying, but poor kicking was holding them back.
Now, he can run into an open goal. He's a bit of a speedster.
He's missed.
Lewis Stevenson. Yes, missed.
Yep.
No, I can't believe it. Yeah.
The Sharks bared their teeth early in the fourth and showed their dominance by pushing the ball from one end of the ground to the other. Finding their accuracy, the Tigers continued to claw their way back into the game, kicking the next 5 straight. Tom Matson with a steal, followed by Richardson's snap to get Claremont back to within 3 points. But it was Kayanga who put the final nail in the Claremont coffin to have the Sharks home by 13 and unbeaten in season 2009. Best of the East Freo goal kickers, Dunn and Andrew McCary with 3, Brent Staker amongst the best of field. In other round 4 results, South Freo made a meal of the Premiers, Peel Thunder got up in a thriller to defeat the Royals, and Swan Districts went down to Perth in a close one. The ladder after 4 rounds looks like this. East Freo undefeated with 3 straight wins, Peel Thunder, Perth and South Freo making up the 4, followed by Subiaco, West Perth, the Royals, the Swans and Claremont, who are yet to register a win. The Bays were looking to continue their perfect start to the season with a win at Woodville Oval. But right from the start, the script didn't go to plan.
Get the ball to Grimer on the snap, he's missed again.
The Eagles more accurate with the ball, Jar and Jackie kicking truly.
Oh, this could be a goal. Oh, it is! Jared and Jackie.
Glenelg continued to blow opportunities, Tom Logan helping his team to take a 1-point lead at quarter time, but with 6 more scoring shots on the board. The Eagles saw their opportunity and grabbed it in the second. Adam Grokey marking strongly and converting. Woodville West Torrens taking control of the game and giving themselves a 29-point buffer at the main break. Nick Salter in contention for goal of the day.
And he did it brilliantly to Salter for the goal.
With some stiff competition minutes later from teammate Justin Sikalala.
On his left. Oh, he'll eat this for breakfast.
Glenelg were hampered by injuries in the second half. Brett Backwell and Todd Grimer leaving the field. The Eagles weren't pretty, but they were able to keep their opponents at bay. Salter kicked another 2 to notch up his 5th goal for the game.
Westbrook goes in short. Salter, who says thank you very much.
The Eagles made sure of it in the 4th with Jackie turning it on.
Jackie, skill execution, perfect.
And David Westbrook sealing the deal. The Eagles with a 5-goal win at home, their first for the season. Salter finishing the game with a half dozen. Matthew Duldig with 3 goals for the Bays. In other results, Norwood made short work of South Adelaide. Sturt were far too strong for the Bloods, while North Adelaide defeated the Pies. Central District with the bye. The sample ladder after 3 rounds sees Norwood, the Dogs, Sturt and Glenelg all with 4 points. The Eagles rounding out the 5. North and South Adelaide each have 1 win, followed by the Bloods, and the Magpies are still without premiership points.
In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row.
92 years ago, a digger laid to rest his brother.
I knew that Uncle Jim had buried him on the battlefield and that they didn't know where the grave was.
On the eve of Anzac Day, a story of closure.
We discovered an Australian Army badge.
Lost in Flanders, Thursday, 8:30, ABC 1.
Celebrate organic living with the latest issue of ABC's Organic Gardener magazine. Be rewarded with quality fruit and stronger plants with Peter Cundall's expert pruning advice. We show you how to grow avocados and native food plants such as lemon myrtle, while Linda Coburn gives an update on her family's self-reliant life in Tasmania. Plus, don't miss our quick fix and long-term organic remedies to control those garden pests. ABC's Organic Gardener magazine from ABC shops, centres and newsagents.
Although this vast sand country is classed as desert, it's actually full of life.
Tuesday night, Monty is in for a surprise.
Its root system's probably going down 10 metres. 10 metres? Yeah.
He hitches a ride with Dame Elizabeth Murdoch.
She and her garden are almost half as old as the nation.
And the surprises just keep on coming.
I've never seen such a wide range of plants together in one garden.
Around the world in 80 gardens. Tuesday, ABC 1.
This is a journey back to the golden age, real and imagined.
Immerse yourself in an ancient time and place.
Tonight, the festival of Kartigay.
A ritual 1,000 years old, and who knows, maybe much older.
Come along to the Festival of Lights.
It's got to be the only place in the world where you can get run over by Bronze Age priests.
The Story of India, tomorrow night, ABC 1.
Welcome back to Bellerive Oval. We've got a cracker of a game going on here between Clarence and Glenorchy. At half-time, it's the Magpies leading by 2 points. Trent, what have you made of the game so far?
Oh, it's been a real arm wrestle. They've had a real crack, both Glenorchy and Clarence. Glenorchy had plenty of the ball early, but just couldn't score. Clarence kicked away with a few goals, and Glenorchy come back late in that second quarter. So it's been a real arm wrestle. It's a good game.
We mentioned before the game the rivalry between these two teams, and it goes back a long, long way. Our friends in the library at the ABC have pulled out another ripping game from years gone by, and it doesn't get much better than this, Trent. It's the 1979 grand final, Clarence versus Glenorchy, a record Tasmanian crowd of nearly 25,000 at North Hobart Oval. This should be a beauty.
The Magpies are 4 points in front.
A miraculous mark with a greasy ball by Dykes as he puts it up again towards Moles. Moles in front, he can't take it, kicked off the ground by Bennett. A chance for Van der Veen. Van der Veen, a hand pass over to Chadwick. Chadwick goes goal and he's put it through! And the crowd goes wild. Chadwick has put it through. And the crowd. A miraculous goal to Clarence. And if they win this game, they can certainly, well, he'll be the toast of the Eastern Shore. He'll certainly be the hero.
What about the Van der Veen hand pass?
A magnificent, yes, a great hand pass by Van der Veen, but it wasn't an easy goal to get. And now it's going to be hard for Glenorchy to get back. Clarence 2 points up. 26-minute mark of the last quarter. There's not much time left. Can the Roos hold out? It's going up the centre half forward towards Hudson. He can't get it. Down to Bennett. Bennett running clear. Stuff to Studley. Studley towards Norris. Norris takes the mark at centre half back. A great mark.
Handball's on quickly to Trippett.
He took it out of his hands, actually, Trippett. But Robert Norris will be in no hurry to get on with the game. He knows the Roos are in front. And with minutes ticking by, seconds ticking by, he'll go long down the middle.
There's the kick by Robert Norris. Down towards their half-forward line. Chadwick is there. Flying high, trying to bring the ball away as a Glenorchy player. The Roos are desperate. They cycle it off the turf, out towards the boundary line. But more importantly, it's over the boundary line in their attacking zone. Well, you must give the Roos full of credit. It's been a tremendous effort from them for the first bounce. They've played their hearts out, and so too are the Magpies. There's the tap back over the shoulder. The siren must be only seconds away. Handballed out. A chance now for Garlick. Onto his left foot, he kicks. He's put it through for a point. And the difference is now 3 points.
Well, had a fair bit, a fair few out of bounds, I guess, Mel, so the quarter might go 30 minutes or more. But I think Glenorchy will have to go straight forward from this kick out, which is right down the middle if they have any chance. We need a strong mark from Clarence now to hold them up. And Rebold nearly took it too. Umpire Barry Clements is going to have a bounce. The Roos supporters are going mad with excitement. You can hear the deafening cheer of the crowd now as Clarence are closing it. There's the siren! They've won it! Clarence have won the grand final for 1979. A fantastic performance. They've come from nowhere.
first year.
And the Eastern Shore, they must all be here, I'd say, Bob, because just have a look at the crowd that's on North Hobart Oval. It's teeming rain, it's bitterly cold, and the wind's blowing very strongly indeed. But they've all gone out onto the Oval to salute the tremendous effort put in by Noel Leary as captain and coach of the Clarence side. He's taken them from nothing to a premiership in 12 months. A tremendous performance.
Congratulations to Clarence. It is. It's a great...
What a fantastic coverage of the 1979 Grand Final, and some familiar names there. We've seen Peter Hudson, who kicked 6 for the day. Chris Rewalt was playing. A couple of his young fellows are running around in the Clarence 2s at the moment, and Jack, of course, playing for Richmond. Robbie Dykes was playing. We've got Josh Dykes out there today, and Tony Triffett was playing as well, and Andrew Triffett out there for Clarence as well. So I know that when you saw the ball being bounced in the mud, Trent, it was something you enjoyed, and one umpire as well.
Yeah, look, one umpire bouncing the ball, that's about tradition. And look, I was just watching that, 25,000 people there. The hairs on the back of my neck actually stood up there and had a bit of a shiver. That's just makes you want to get out there and play, actually, Alistair.
You played at North Hobart. Can you ever imagine a crowd that big?
Yeah, look, well, I think we played in about 6,000 or 7,000 there a couple of times with the Devils, and that was fantastic. But to have like 3 times that, it's just unimaginable. That's just fantastic.
Great days of Tasmanian football there, and hopefully they're on the way back. We've got a good game of footy here at Bellerive Oval this afternoon. Glenorchy has fought back in the second term to lead by 2 points at half-time. We've got some other games going on around the state as well today. At half-time at Youngtown, South Launceston, they're on the receiving end of a bit of a caning from Burnie at the moment, so Justin Plapp and the boys look like they're starting to get the form to click. At half-time in the match between Launceston and Hobart, no real surprises there, Trent?
Look, Launceston, they're a good side, and look, Hobart, they've got some work to do. And look, they'll improve as the season goes with a young side, but yeah, Launceston obviously comfortable there.
And in the other match today, it's down at Lauderdale on the tiny windswept Lauderdale Oval where there's no grandstand, but gee, they packed them in there, and very good coffee, I'm told, and a good game there as well. North Hobart perhaps wasting a few opportunities, all level at half-time. So half-time here at Bellerive, and the margin is 2 points to Glenorchy, and Trent, Clarence really sort of got the job done towards the end of the first quarter, kicked away, and then towards the end of the second quarter, Glenorchy fought right back.
Yeah, look, it's been a game of 2 halves, or 2 quarters, so to speak. Look, there's been some good players with you know, Brett Gapin stood up as a captain coach. You know, it's his second game. He did a really good job early on. Matthew Drury was absolutely terrific leading up as a centre-half forward. And when they moved the ball quickly, they kicked their goals, and that really dried up for them. Then Glenorchy did exactly the same thing, moved the ball quickly, and they started to kick some goals.
They seemed to tighten up a bit, because there were a couple of occasions in the second term early where Whitelaw was just able to stroll into goal, and Drury was running right, almost unmanned across the field.
Yeah, they seem to kick easy goals when they kick their goals, and Glenorchy haven't done that. So, yeah, look, Glenorchy really got back into the game. I think it's going to be a really good second half.
Jeremy Weberley had 20 possessions last week for the game, and we were impressed with him. He's had 20 possessions to half-time and a goal, a beautiful goal on the run. 17 possessions to Brett Gapin, 18 possessions to Thurley. Drury with 12 and 6 marks, and he's been all over the field. Setchell with 12 possessions. For Glenorchy, 19 to Pacelli. He's really their engine room, isn't he?
Oh, he's been fantastic. Their captain, he has really just stood up and said, come along, boys, come and I'm going to show you how to play the game, and he's actually done it today for them.
12 possessions to Cox, and he's a good user with the left boot. O'Gary hard at it. He's had 14 possessions, 8 to Webb and 11 to Muir. Looking like a pretty good second half, I'd say, Trent. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from the first half, and this was just all too easy. Whitelaw, there's no one near him, and the player in the goal square really needed to probably come at him a little bit earlier there.
Just a little bit more pressure needed.
There's a goal to Lyndon Carlton. And then Dutton, so strong, isn't he, and smart too. He's an experienced campaigner. This was the second. He's barely mustered up a canter there, Whitelaw. He was practically walking.
He likes getting around the big boys and getting the hands off, which is great. It's what smart footballers do.
There's a goal to Bowden, his second for the afternoon. And this is where Glenorchy really started to come at them. And Jesse Crouch on this occasion took everyone by surprise. Bowring, he was starting to get some of the footy as well, and Spencer's starting to present, Trent, and take a few marks now.
Yeah, the forwards are starting to open up their forward line, starting to jump through the footy and actually take some marks, and it's encouraging and it's exciting too, because they've kicked 3 or 4 goals there unanswered in the last 5 minutes of the game.
What are you tipping for the second half?
Well, I think Clarence will rally, and I think they might kick ahead. I think their tall timber up forward, if they can get it to them fast, is just going to be the difference today.
There's been an open door policy when it comes to Martin Cudahy this season. Let's see if he had any luck again getting into the rooms at half-time. Down to you, Martin.
Thanks very much, Alistair. I've had plenty of luck, managed to get into both rooms at half-time, both teams being very accommodating to us here. As far as Glenorchy's concerned, Ben Reid was obviously very impressed with the way that his troops had come out in that second quarter. He said the stoppages particularly were really good. They managed to clear it well. He was also happy with the man-on-man strategy that he's put in place. He also mentioned that collision between Hunt and Triffett, and he said that was where the game turned around, and he was really happy with the way that they'd played from that point onwards. As far as that collision goes, I've just been in the Clarence rooms as well, and Triffett is icing his hip. He seems to be in a bit of pain. He's lying down in there, and he doesn't seem to be too good. The medical staff aren't really sure whether he'll be back out at this stage, so we'll just have to wait and see. But as for Brett Gapin, he was imploring his troops to not give up. There was a bit more of an urgent feel in the Clarence rooms. Perhaps they don't want to be run down like they were last week. So Brett Gapin wasn't overly happy, but he did say that there's definitely enough in the team to run over Glenorchy in the second half.
Comprehensive wrap from Martin Cudahy at half-time. There's Brett Gapin on screen, and his introduction to coaching has been an interesting one. A loss to his brother last week, now up against the old rival in Glenorchy, and his team trails by 2 points heading into the second half. How did you see it, Smythe?
Well, just the momentum. The momentum swung Glenorchy's way in the last 15 minutes. Before that, Clarence seemed to have control of the contest. Footy's a momentum game as far as I'm concerned. And if Glenorchy can hang in there, or Clarence can get it back, that's the team that will win. The umpire spotted the free. No, I get confused. Whenever you blew the whistle in my dream, it was a free kick inside a centre square infringement. Now it could be one or the other.
No, he's just having another bounce or throwing it up.
In the contest was Archer against Nash. And we'll have the third one. Gapin's in there early too. He's put himself in the middle. Gary's got the job on Gapin. He's going in for surgery this week, I think. Pretty Gapin on his knee. Archer won that one, but Nash stole it. He got it to one of the Agaris. Inside 50. On a lead with Spencer. Blight's at the back. Might take the boundary. He did. Tried to look accidental. It wasn't.
He's an experienced player, Blighty. He'll get away with most things.
He does add some presence down there back for Clarence. Nash and Archer, inside 50. Neither win cleans possession. O'Gary overruns it. Setchell, good hands to Gapin. Little dish off was clever. He got it to Gale. Nash squeezes it out. French takes them on. He's good enough to get round. Clinton French. Blight, little shove. Good.
Just too strongly experienced there.
Moves it on by hand, Thurley. That's not 15 and not too neat either. Gapin, though, made him look good. His hand pass put Thurley under pressure. Returns the favour. Tackled by Spencer. Gale tackled by Bowring and Bowden. Blight goes in there. O'Gary round the boundary line. Can he keep it in? He does. Gets the hand pass off. French needs to get rid of it. Good stuff from Archer. Or was it a push? It was. It's going to be a free kick to French. 25 out from goal.
Just good pressure both sides there, wasn't there? Good attack by Glenorchy and just the pressure trying to hold him up, Clarence. So it was a good bit of passage. Scrappy, but a good passage of footy.
French kicked a brilliant goal from the boundary against Hobart last week. This from an acute angle. It's actually Clinton French, and he has a ping at goal, and he's missed.
Going to make their opportunity stick. He did the kick, that one.
2 behinds to French.
Cameron Thurley. Clarence have got the huddle. Now they spring. Gapin's the target. It's got 2 to beat. Recovers nicely. Concedes some ground. Budgie was the call. Gets it back. Just shoved as he kicked it. Nash. That handball was clever. Cox has got to get onto his left. Now he does. He pumps it long. 2 on 2. Spence at the back. Blight's there as well. It might bounce through. It has. Cox has kicked it. Great effort. Backed himself with pace. Pumped it long. He wasn't going for goal.
No, he wasn't. And he just sort of got himself onto his left foot and just thumped it in. It was Good passage of play just outside the square too, centre square there. That's a big kick. Cameron Blythe jumped high there to come through, couldn't get a finger on it, and it just bounced through. Good kick left and, right, and through the goals.
So Glenorchy with the first goal, and they've somehow managed to get themselves a 9-point lead.
Well, I haven't seen Jason Crazer turn the ball that much at Bellerive before. That was a nice little bounce there for Cox. 9 points is the margin here at Bellerive Oval, and the boys on the bench should be pretty happy. Chivers and College looking on, as well as Hills.
Dan Marsh was there, the runner.
Looked pretty relaxed, didn't he?
He did indeed. Great Blake, Danny Marsh.
Carlton down to Bowring. Bowring to open space. French or Swan came out and attacked it. Here's Cox again, shrugs the tackle, playing a good game. Inside 50 he goes. Mark nearly taken by French. Setchell tackled by Crouch. They want to tie it up here, Clarence, and they can't. Bowden got the hand pass away. Thurley attacked the footy, breaks the tackle, gave it to Pacelli. Pacelli on the left foot, goes at goal. Not his best effort.
It's Bradley Marsh, not Daniel Marsh. Daniel Marsh plays cricket. Sorry, Bradley.
You had me confused anyway.
Archer gets it to centre wing. Good mark. It wasn't paid. Whitelaw did everything. Pacelli likes to take them on. Across the body was O'Geary. Again inside 50 of Glenorchy. The numbers favour Glenorchy. Bowring. High ball. It's a good ball. It's a great kick.
That is a great kick.
It's from Hunt, I think. Or it wasn't, in fact, Lyndon Carlton. Carlton it was. It's his second. The handball came from Bowring.
They're just starting to... they're getting the ball into the hands of the good users in terms of, I mean, Cox a couple of possessions before that, and the goal before that is moving the ball well. Now they just have a bit more space, and he's just thrown on the boot, and that's a good kick.
Standing start. The last 5 goals have been Glenorchy.
Lyndon Carlton, young Mariner. Archer and Nash do battle. Nash won it down. O'Geary, Bryce O'Geary that is. Thurley sweeps the hand pass out. No one there for Clarence. Bowden runs onto it. Lovely kick out in front. Spencer Marks. I don't know what Cameron Thurley was thinking then.
That's a classic turnover, isn't it? A skill error, and good sides will make you hurt, and that's what a good side Glenorchy are doing now. He needs to go back now and just slot this through.
And Glenorchy's grasping of the momentum has had a fair bit to do with the presence of this young man up forward. He's going to come in, kicks on the left boot, and that is a shocker across the face of goal for a behind. Glenorchy kicked 3 goals, 13 in the first quarter last week against Hobart, then 9 straight in the second, so you never know what you're going to get from them.
Well, at least they're getting plenty of it and having plenty of shots. That's the probably the most important thing to take out of that.
Cameron Thurley's pretty relieved, I think. That turnover could have cost his side dearly.
It certainly did. Cameron with a little kick to himself there to take an extra yard forward to get another possession. It's always good for the stats.
And a free kick will go to French. He was just taken too high. Clarence just need to get a bit of ball possession. Baker. Drury's the target. Good mark. Wasn't paid in the end. Indeed. I thought it was a mark. It wasn't. Drury goes again. Sitting on it was Green.
The young O'Brien on the bottom of the pack there. He has a go. He's a good young player.
Just on the edge of the square for Clarence. Jamie Kay just walks his way through a big pack of players and goes to half forward. Crouches at the back, got his hands on it. Bowring, now he's in some space. Pumps it long. It's a one-on-one contest. First hands were Glenorchy's. Green's to mop up for Clarence.
On the half volley, gathered by Setchell. French in over the top. The eyes lit up. He was looking at the umpire. He wanted a free kick for holding the ball. We'll have a bounce on defensive 50 for Clarence. Glenorchy doing all the attacking. Archer won the hit out. Riley there for Clarence, gathers nicely. Little hand pass to Green, who tried to get it to a teammate, and in the end, hand passed it over the line.
He looks hurt.
A little bit proppy. Boundary throw in. Nash and Archer again. Pacelli got a hand to it. Releases O'Gary. O'Gary finds himself in space. Good smother from Webberley. Crouch, though, moves it on for Bowring. Bowring snaps at goal, and the Glenorchy boys are up again.
He's been good, Bowring, hasn't he? He's been late in the second quarter. He was getting the ball into the forward line. Again, he's been instrumental in a few possessions there, getting the ball forward. Now he's kicked that goal. That's some good play by him.
Just some really good skill. Some good hand-to-foot skill from Bowring.
And they seem to be taking the ball away from the stoppages and the contests a little bit more easily than Clarence are at the moment, Glenorchy.
And that's 6 goals on end to Glenorchy. And they had been trailing by 19 points at the 8-minute mark of the second term. And they now lead by 22.
It's a handy break.
It's a good bounce of the ball.
Again, they win the contest through Nash. Now Setchell's got it for the Roos. Concedes some ground. He's looking for Riley. Doesn't let him down. Now they've got numbers through Thurley, who's pushed forward. He's just outside 50, but he's a good kick. Muir charges him. Dutton's at the back. Good kick, Thurley.
Yeah, just experience. Just hang on to the football long enough. Knew what Brad was going to do, and obviously Brad knew what Cameron Thurley was going to do, and just kicked it up to a good mark, and he's just kicked the goal. Well, no, they've brought it back.
He's brought it back.
Well, this might be a bit dangerous for Brad. In front of the goal, he has missed a few.
Distance shouldn't worry him.
I won't put the mockers on him, no. Distance shouldn't worry him. No, he'll slot this through. It was a good mark, and it was good play.
I thought you said you weren't going to put the mockers on him, Trent.
No, he'll kick this one.
Dutton. A chance to get a much-needed goal for Clarence. He's kicked 1 straight so far.
It's a good story, Brad, coming back with his knee operation, all the problems he's had with it.
And a reliable kick at goal. He puts it through for his second. Clarence reduces the margin to 16 points. That is good to see him back. Trent, he had 13 knee operations in the last decade, he told me. And the last was quite a radical one where he had the cartilage taken out of his knee, taken to a lab, grown and reinserted.
It's quite remarkable what they can do these days, and for him to keep putting his hand up and wanting to play, it's a testament to his character and to the game that he absolutely loves.
Quick injury update from the sideline boys. Josh Green from Clarence is getting a bit of attention. He's got a bit of a calf problem, but Bumpy Triffett Jr. is back on the bench and may yet play.
Thanks for that, Martin. There's Green, and he's got the job on Bowden. And Clarence have run the centre break, and Sharman's got it.
Yeah, Cameron Thurley moving into the midfield, got the ball both times and delivered it to his forward. So he's, I think, might have taken it upon himself to get himself into the midfield and get Clarence moving again.
It'll be interesting to see whether Benny Reid tries to counteract that from the bench. But at the moment, Sharman, who's a thumping kick from right on 50. Good hit. Good hit.
That's a lovely kick. The left foot kick, left footers, they're normally very, very good kicks or not so good kicks, and Sharmo is certainly a very good kick for goal.
With the twin targets down there, Sharman and Dutton and Thurley.
You know, that's the key to their side, really. If they can move the ball quickly enough and get into their forward line where they're one-on-one or on the lead, they're going to be very, very hard to stop.
So we've had 5 goals in 12 minutes to start the third term. Clarence with back-to-back goals from Dutton and Sharman. Sharman's first for the afternoon. The margin 10 points. Archer wins the hit out. Picked up by Webb. Evades a tackler. Bangs to 50. Marking target Spencer again got hands to it. Paddled it forward. Crouch gets around. He's starting to get into it. Gives to Bowden. Bowden has a shot at goal and he couldn't put it away.
Just need to hold those marks in their forward line.
Some anxious faces. Stan's been good, Brent.
Big pardon?
Stan's been good, Trent. The centre of the footy.
Oh, look, Stan's been great. Look, there's been a few little turnovers which have hurt both sides, but they're starting to correct that now, and they're finding their targets quite well.
Webberley with urgency. Arnold. Camerick, nowhere to go. Kicks it out into space and finds the free man. Webb moves it on. Glenorchy on here. Mark taken. Bowden runs to 40, lets it go, and he's again tugged it off to the left-hand side.
But that's exactly what they need him to do, though. They need to get the footy, running, carrying the ball, and having shots on goal. He just needs to finish him, Alistair.
Just off screen, Josh Green's, they've got him back up on his feet. They want him back on Bowden. Bowden's had space for the last couple of contests down forward. Falling into his arms is Webb. Goes in short, Pacelli. Popper was the call because it wasn't 15. Taken to ground, will be a free kick just outside 50. Play on. Pacelli from on 50. The kick was shanked. It's gone through for a minor score. There's Green just to the far right of the screen there. He was on his feet a minute ago. And Thurley's got it. James Baker from half-back can go to centre wing. Drury. Cutting back inboard, Setchell. Quick hands, Tuxworth. Ends up back with Setchell, now with some space. Might have just done one too many. Cox. Curley's there as well for Glenorchy. Over the top. Kay. Got an awkward bounce. And Riley's been taken high. Dutton and Sharman are deep. Riley's just got to move it quickly. He's taken a big divot out of Bellerive. Now he gives it off. Webberley pumps it long. Dutton. Muir's there. Kept his eye on it.
Good mark. Read that well.
Muir to the left back pocket. Kay couldn't complete the mark. Had to dive for it like a gully fieldsman.
He looks a little tired, Jamie Kay.
He does. It's
Chris Hutton to the right.
That does not look good. It's Josh Arnold.
It is young Josh Arnold, boys. It looks like he's done a shoulder.
He's in a bit of pain by the looks of it.
Only 16.
It's a great story, Josh Arnold. Benny Atkin, who coaches Claremont, said, get out of here, get up to the big league. Come down and have a run.
It's great to see him pushing the young fellas up, but it's obviously you don't want to see that sort of thing happening, but that can happen at any level of football. Hopefully it's not too bad and he'll be right for next week.
Riley releases Baker. He releases Swan, or O'Brien, was it? Shot on goal. It's very wide. Clarence have kicked 8-1 to 8-14. It's quite a remarkable scoreline. Muir switches the play. Curley goes toward the wing. Push out. It'll go against Bowden. He's a little irritated. Clarence, a chance to reload. Drury runs into a wall, wants to give it off. Green gave to O'Brien. He got through some traffic. Quick kick, high up in the air. Best placed, Curley. Couldn't complete the mark. Still alive for Clarence. Swan socket off the ground. It beats Thurley over the boundary.
There were some anxious seconds there for Benny Curley.
There certainly were, but I think Glenorchy actually did that pretty well then. They put a lot of pressure on the ball coming in and they got numbers back into that space, so they did that pretty well.
There's a lot of numbers inside 50. The umpire spotted a free. It's going to Clarence. Oh, no, it's not. It's coming back the other way. It's going to Jared College. The move came from Bowden. He's picking up a little bit more of it.
He's starting to get into the play, which is good to see, and that's what they need him. They need him to run and carry the football.
One of the most creative players. He's got nowhere to go. Has to go in short in the end, and he does. Webb takes it on half forward. The numbers are with the Roos. They can drift it around. Gapin can square it off to Setchell. Loves to handball. Wants Gapin going again. Just kept working hard to the footy. The kick was good enough. Setchell can give it back to Baker. Might be one too many again. Now it's with Baker. In some space. The kick was terrific to Thurley. They just kept at it through the middle.
And Thurley just crept down there on that outer wing and just found space. He's a very smart player, and I'm not going to say anything about him having a shot for this one.
Josh Arnold down in front of us, heading towards the Glenorchy rooms. So that's the end of his date.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too bad for the young fella.
Cameron Thurley, it's probably been the spark for the Roos this term. Chance to finish the job. Just pushed it to the right.
Yeah, unusual. He's normally a very, very good kick, Cameron.
Just the second behind of the game to Clarence. That kick set a task of Curley. Gathered by College. College down the wing. Out position was Cox. The kick favoured Gale, and now Tuxworth. Drury by hand. Glenorchy a chance to bring it forward. Gapin. Dutton on the lead. Couldn't complete the mark. O'Brien releases Green. Whitelaw got the kick away. Sharman was there. Thurley takes the mark, and surely this time he will goal.
Well, you wouldn't think he'd miss from there, but just back behind, we've seen Cox actually go straight off the ground after that contest. I'm not sure what's happened to him, but he looked to be holding his stomach or something as he ran off the ground.
We'll get some news from Martin after this kick from Thurley, which has almost landed in my arms. A magnificent kick. And Clarence keep coming back. They're down by a goal at Bellerive. It's Glenorchy 62, Clarence 56.
Good vision by Whitelaw.
Yeah, very good vision. Yeah, he's an experienced and smart player.
Being tackled, taken to ground, just still had the presence of mind to give it to Thurley in better position.
And Cameron wasn't going to make the same mistake he made before, missing that goal, so slots it through.
They put Jamie Kay on Thurley.
Cox appears to have copped one right where you don't want to cop one, boys, so, but he should be right.
Had to be in the hand then, Martin. Drury is just starting to work again. He's on Curley. Drury goes in low and hard. Dutton.
Yeah, good movement. Good lead by Matty Drury. Took the mark, played on quickly, opened the space, and Brad went straight into it.
And suddenly it's turned around again.
Yeah, they look very, very strong when they move the ball quickly and kick to their big forwards.
Brad Dutton, it's kick two. From about 30, 35 metres, slight angle. Now they've got the yips.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything there, Chris, no. I've learnt my lesson.
Dan Muir brings it out of defence for Glenorchy. Into the centre square, Bowering, the target, couldn't mark. Picked up by Riley. Gapin, high, up and under. Camerick there with O'Brien. Who's going to do the crumbing? It was Mitch Swan, gave to Whitelaw with the torpedo. Dutton at the back, couldn't hold the mark this time. Snaps! Has he kicked a goal from there? Wonderful stuff from Brad Dutton.
Yeah, that was a really good spoil on Brad, and he recovered superbly, and just that's a fantastic goal actually. The kick it from what he had a football to put it through, and he's put it straight through the sticks, a football width. That was a great goal.
It was 1-on-3 in the end. Did Muir lose his feet? No, he didn't. He just got a half a yard on him.
He did a good job. He played in front and got the spoil. Just really needed to kill the ball and take it out of play.
3 goals in a row gives Clarence a 1-point lead. In fact, they've kicked the last 4. What can Glenorchy do? Not much, because it's coming into forward for Clarence again, and a great mark taken in front by Sharman.
Yeah, too big, too strong on that occasion. And you wouldn't think that he'd have too much trouble kicking this.
Game number 50. Sharman going for goal number 2. This to give Clarence a 7-point lead, and he makes no mistake.
It's a nice kick.
He's a very good kick.
So Greg Sharman getting involved.
And look, I think the last 5 minutes has been, they've just dominated the ball, getting the ball out of the centre, really, and they've just put some key playmakers in there with Thurley earlier. Now, I know he's playing deep now, but they just got the ball forward and got it quick, fast to the key forwards.
5 goals in 12 minutes for the Roos. And they're out to a 7-point lead. Glenorchy have not won a centre clearance for some time. Archer gets the Roos going again. Setchell carries it forward. Held up at half-back by Webb. Into their half-forward line. Check. No one can quite win clean ball. Good tackle. Contest was hard. Blight's in there. The Roos again with numbers. Ends up with Webberley. The handball came from Riley. To centre wing. O'Gary missed the mark. He's got 2 to beat. Goes himself. Pumps it long. Archer's there. Blight thumps it. Archer got the hands. Good from Swan. Cox, who's back on, takes it to centre wing and moves it quickly. Inside 50. The kick was good to Bowring. He couldn't quite swallow it. Archer goes to ground. Bowring takes him out.
Yeah, needed to take that one, didn't he? They were all open then. Obviously, Cox is okay now, back on.
Boundary throw in. Bowring watches it go over his head. Chivers tried to knock it into the corridor. Pacelli working hard. Whitelaw, a quick kick out of the pack. Setchell there for Clarence. His little hand pass missed the target. Whitelaw goes again. Umpire's whistle blown, advantage paid. Baker, here they come again, the Roos. Dutton the target again. Drifting across, Thurley, Dutton on the left. The snap is high, won't have the carry. Thurley there with Jamie Kay. Out goes the one glove of Thurley, couldn't mark. Well kept in by Sharman, or was it? No, says the boundary umpire. Dutton starting to look dangerous, and there's space up in that forward line when the Roos move it quickly.
Yeah, they're moving the ball very quickly, and it's just it's a forward's dream, really, when the ball comes in like that.
Throw in the forward pocket for Clarence. Sharman in ruck, taps it to a dangerous position, opens up for Thurley. He's gone. Holding the ball. Desperation from the Glenorchy defence, and they needed to be desperate.
They were lucky too, though. They left so much space for him to run into. That's just you just don't do that deep in your defensive zone.
The kick was a little long from Curley. Green goes to ground. The umpire said, "I'll have it."
Just not winning clean possession at all, Glenorchy, now, are they? They've just really lost any strength of having the footy and running and carrying it. They just really can't get their hands on it cleanly.
The flow's been all with the Roos. Pacelli to Bowden. Just had to hit and hope in the end. At half forward, Setchell got a cruel bounce. Crouch. Gets it. Wants to give and go. O'Gary was the target. Webb. This way, that way. Clever skills. Gets it to College. College goes inside 50 with a good kick. And Shivers. Gonna pump it long. Now he goes short. The target's good. The kick's better. And it's a mark to David Hunt.
It was good. There was space to let into. He let in. It was a good kick and a good mark. Now he's got to finish his work off now.
Kicked 3 goals last week, did Hunt. Just on a lead, Shivers. That's what he's got to do. He'll be hard to beat.
He's a big man. Long arms.
And Hunt just had half a metre on Rowan Swan.
It's an important kick now.
Somehow it makes it more important.
It does, doesn't it? It's fantastic.
David Hunt. From 40 metres. We've got a 1-point ball game.
He's up to the challenge.
Good kick. It's his first. And there's 1 point in it.
Well, boys, we're certainly getting some good games so far this season on ABC One. This is an absolute cracker. The game seemed to follow a similar trend to the second term, Trent, except it was the other way round, because Glenorchy came hard at the end of the second quarter, took the lead, and Clarence came hard with a rush of goals in that term to take the lead and hold a 1-point break at the final change.
Yeah, they come out after the halftime break just wanting to continue on the form they finished off with within the second quarter, and to Clarence credit, they went and put some of their good players in the midfield. Thurley went into the midfield, got the ball out a few times, settled them. They created some space in their forward line, let their big guys lead up into it and took some marks and got them right back into the game.
Gapin was very busy.
Oh, he's always busy, Brett. He finds a lot of the football, and Setchell too found a lot of the football. Then they found each other a lot of times too. their good players are starting to come into the game now.
I don't know if you saw at the bottom of the screen, the umpire's boss, Graham Hamley, applying a bit of spray to some of the boys. So it's obviously hard work for 3 umpires out there. We saw 1 umpire at half-time doing it pretty in the wet at North Hobart Oval. Here's the score by score. Yep, and a bit of a rub down too. Great service for the men in orange this afternoon.
It's hard work umpiring. The boys are doing a fantastic job.
It has been well adjudicated.
Yeah. The stand has been very good for the last 3 games.
It's 16 points the margin at quarter time, and then Glenorchy fought back with 4 goals to 2 in the second term to take a 2-point lead. And it was Clarence with 5 goals too. They've been pretty accurate all day to Glenorchy. They kicked 4 goals, 5 in that term. Dutton with 3 goals, Sharman with 2, Whitelaw with 2, Carlton with 2 for Glenorchy, and Bowden with 2 as well. And he missed a couple that he probably should have gotten that quarter as well, Trent.
Yeah, he should have. Look, Bowden and Cox started to get a bit more of the ball and started delivering the ball in their forward line and having shots on goals, and that's what really got Glenorchy up and going.
We said it early on, they were going to need to be a bit tighter on Cameron Thurley. He's now had 28 possessions, 7 marks, and he's kicked the goal as well. We saw last week he went forward in the final term and almost gave Clarence what late in the game looked like an impossible victory. Gapin with 26 possessions, so week in, week out, getting plenty of the ball. Webley with 23 and Setchell with 17. Pacelli a little quieter in that quarter, 22 possessions for the Glenorchy captain, 14 to Webb, 16 to Cox, who's been impressive this afternoon, Bowden with 12, O'Gary 17. 3-quarter time here at Bellerive Oval, and the margin is the smallest of margins. Now Glenorchy went forward and kicked the opening goal, and it was Cox. Look at this, Jason Crazer can't get the turn at Bellerive Oval, and Jake Cox can.
He was pretty happy about it too. Glenorchy were all over Clarence early. That was from Carlton, a quick snap from Carlton, and this is another snap from Bowery. And suddenly they're all out there. But the Roos turned it around, partly because of these tall timber, Dutton being one, Sharman being the other.
That started a real run of goals for Clarence, 5 in a row. Sharman, he's such a good finisher.
I think Thurley was a really spark there to get them going. Now you see him kicking here one now. He really got into midfield, delivered it, then went forward and obviously had a couple of shots on goal.
Skillful player.
Very skillful player. He's got so much time. That's what the foot players have, time, and somehow Cameron's got a lot of time when he has the football in his hands.
And that one after the siren gives them hope.
It does give them hope, and it's an important kick. It was good.
So early on it was Clarence with a lot more of the ball. They've still had more of the ball, but the gap is reducing. They've had 4 more kicks. They've had a fair few more handballs, 24 more handballs, more marks, 12 more there. Inside 50s. Well and truly in favour of Glenorchy.
Yeah, they're getting the ball in. What they need to do is get more marks inside their 50s, Glenorchy. They need their big men to start taking a few more marks or finding a bit more space to lead into so they can take more marks.
All right, well, let's get down to the sidelines because Martin Cudahy has got a special guest for us.
I do indeed. It's great to be down here. It is the Bingley Linton Cup, and joining us this afternoon is John Bingley. Now, John, what are you making of this game so far?
Well, look, I think it's a good game. I was here last year, and the difference in this year and last year is quite different. And we're a mile in front, as you know. Got a big chance. I'm just hoping we can still continue on in the last quarter.
Now, you're a former premiership coach of Clarence. What would you be saying to the boys in the rooms at 3-quarter time right now?
Oh, do I have to tell everyone? Oh, I'd be just telling them to play the way they're playing. They're using their pace to keep in the game, and I'm afraid to say that that's what they're going to either win or lose it by. And unfortunately, Glenorchy's got some nice big forwards up there, so it's going to be a little difficult.
That's thank you very much, John.
But I still think that we can win, by the way.
All right, well, we might have to put that to the other half of this famous local rivalry. We've got Gary Linton here. What have you made of the game so far, Gary?
Oh, I think it's a typical Glenorchy-Clarence game. I mean, there's one point in it. There's passion, and I spoke at the lunch a little while earlier about the passion that's developed between Glenorchy and Clarence for a lot of years, and this is just no different. It's a really good game.
You've been named in the team of the century out at Glenorchy. Do you reckon you'd like to be out there running around at the moment?
Not at all, no. When I played was great, and you know, it was just a fantastic time of life. But when you finish, and now it's lovely to be up there with a can of Cascade Draft and tell everyone how good we used to be.
That's right. It really is one of the best local derbies in Tasmanian footy, isn't it?
It is. It's traditional. And as I said at the lunch, it's played with passion. And most of the passion is between the supporters. As I said, the players just do their best. They're all mates later. But while they're out there, it's a do or die. It really is.
Well, thanks very much. That's Gary Linton. Also joining me on the boundary at three-quarter time is John Bingley. So thanks very much, both.
Couple of legends.
Gary Linton was my first senior football coach. He was arguably the worst coach I ever played under.
You can't say that on
one of the best men ever. You know, he certainly wouldn't mind me saying that.
That's unbelievable.
Clarence into attack in the final term with a 1-point lead. Whitelaw releases a teammate. Thurley forward, banana kick. Will it come back enough? No, it won't.
Here's the umpire.
Out of bounds on the full by the looks of it from Thurley. Gee, they've had some good coaches, Clarence, over the years, though. When you think that Stuart Spencer came down and coached them, he best and fairest the two premiership years, 55 and 56 for Melbourne.
John
and then
Bingley
replaced him.
Yeah, and he was their first premiership coach, I think, John Bingley. The first time they won the flag was under John Bingley.
1970, Smarty.
And then we saw Noel Leary. He was a great coach. Grant Fagan, another terrific coach.
Brett Gapin will be hoping to emulate a few of those guys, I reckon. Along the wing goes the footy, and here is Brett Gapin getting off after it. Hand pass to Rowan Swan. Swan, a free man is Thurley. They need to tighten up on him. He can cut you up. He goes to half forward. Little shove from Sharman. Not enough to give away a free kick, enough to buy him some room so he could take the mark. On the left, goes in the Dutton direction. Again, good body use, takes the mark. Hand pass to the open goal square where Drury gets a gift.
It's probably a well-deserved gift for Drury too. He's been absolutely sensational leading up hard all day, and when you get a goal beside your name, it certainly makes it a little bit different, I think, at the end of the day when you read yourself in the paper and you've kicked one, because he's had a very good game to date.
He ran forward hard then. They looked better. Dykes just drifted out. He wasn't going to stop the goal anyway, I wouldn't have thought.
But they know their strengths. Like Sharman's kicked the ball long to Bradley, obviously playing from behind, strong body, take the mark. It's smart play.
16 possessions to Matty Drury, 7 marks. First goal to Clarence. And they might get it again through Archer. Cox against Tuxworth. Has some support through Camrick. Bowden. Worked hard on him was Riley. And seen out. Just the attacking side for Glenorchy.
Clarence hasn't beaten Glenorchy since round 8, 2007, so they've lost 7 in a row against the Magpies.
They're desperate for a win, you'd be thinking.
Riley works hard. O'Gary. Across the body was Clint French. At half forward, Thurley, who seems to have been everywhere in the last quarter and a bit. Archer, he's got to get rid of it. Didn't want it to go to O'Gary, so Thurley, taken without it, no. Riley, Tuxworth, kick was just too hard. Kay, Bowden, back to Kay. Handball was a little sloppy from Jay. He might get another chance. He does, cuts it inboard. Standing start from Webb. Top of the square, Crouch against Webberley. The numbers favour the Roos, but the bounce doesn't. They're good enough to clear.
Gapin, and they've got the free man on as well. It's Drury. He's just been prowling half forward, Matty Drury, today. And his kick's a beauty. Gives Dutton a chance. Dykes got there to make the spoil. Diving in Webb for Glenorchy. Ball comes out the back. Whitelaw keeps it alive for Dutton. Can he gather? Snap at goal on the right. It's coming back. It's coming back. Brad Dutton, you beauty. 4 goals to Dutton. He punches the air. And Clarence kicks away to a 13-point lead here at Bellerive.
That's fantastic work for Brad. Followed up his attempt at mark, and then on the boundary line. We did it up one end, the muzzle did it up the other end, he says, and slot it through.
Great second and third efforts from Dutton.
He does. He tends, if he doesn't mark the ball, he tends to be able to somehow manufacture the ball is in front of him, so it bounces up and he can get onto it. Obviously receive the handball there. Decides he can put that one through.
It was a clever little handball from Whitelaw just to keep the ball alive for Clarence. And
The big fella's pumped up. 7 goals for the season now for Dutton.
And Archer gets them going again. Ball's the call, but it was a pretty hard on Webb, who was wrapped up in the tackle by Jackson O'Brien. So the pressure's back on the Pies. Clean possession might go the Roos' way. Here they come again, this time through French. Inside 50. Sharman hands on it, head over the ball with Strong. Drury. Tackle came from Carlton. French, standing start. Where's Dutton? He's in the mix. He's really in the mix. Oh, the handball was just not quite spot on. Might still be a chance here for the Roos. That was through Swan. Muir dropped it, and he'd be pinged. He said he tried. It's not good enough.
No, it's not. He's... I think Setchell was a little unlucky before and did the same thing, I think, so that's probably why he's remonstrating a bit too. But O'Brien lining up.
This could make it very, very comfortable for Clarence.
He looks like he's wearing a pair of hockey shoes.
Didn't bother him.
Straight through.
Not a day for the long stops, Trent.
No, not especially with that hard centre wicket, Alistair. You wouldn't want to be playing through the midfield with them on. You'd be like ice skates.
First goal to Jackson O'Brien for the afternoon, and that's some serious breathing space for Clarence now. They're out to a 19-point lead. 8 of the last 9 goals to Clarence.
Yeah, they seem to take some dominance around the stoppages as well. They seem to be just controlling the football, controlling the play.
Back in the centre, Glenorchy needs to find something, but they're not going to. The hand pass from French to Thurley, who goes inside 50. In front position, Drury. Ball goes to ground level. Baker shoveled it in underneath his teammate, his opponent rather, trying to get him pinged. Little wrestle going on. Umpire Leonard to bounce. Right on attacking 50 for Clarence. Carlton ran across the front, got the punch. It opens up for Bowden. Can he create something now? Spencer, good mark. Spencer moves it on. 2 Clarence players, they could raffle it. Archer took the mark, and that could be 50. More or less tripped over his opponent, though. Archer, the switch of play is on. Setchell needs to be clean, takes the mark. Kicks further afield. Mark taken by Green. Adam Green. He goes back to the centre where Webley marks. And the switch is right on now because Cameron Blight has drifted up from defence. He has it between wing and half-back.
Clarence just keeping possession. Just hang on to the football. Might all come unstuck now. Nash cuts it inboard. Crouch wants to give it back to Nash. It's an open 50. Can he go? It's going to dribble, and it's going to dribble wide. Was it David Hunt, in fact, it was, who worked hard with Crouch. They probably needed that one, Trent.
Yeah, they needed the kick a goal. They need to steady the flow of Clarence and do something to stop it, and that goal certainly would have helped.
It only came from a turnover.
Yeah, look, they're just controlling the football, Clarence. They really are. They're just chipping it around now and just got complete control of the game.
Muir, strongly tackled by Drury. Camrick, Drury goes again. And for the 3rd time, he gets it back over the top. It's really opening up for the Roos now. Thurley might make them pay. On 50, has some time and space. Pumps it. He deserved it. He's been great.
He's been very, very good. He's really just kick-started them. He's been the one that's got them up and going. And that's a fantastic finishing skills. You've got a player that can kick the ball just outside or just inside 50 there and just slot it through.
And just lovely dummy. But he started the run way back when they came out of defence.
Come out of defence.
Thurley took the mark, and he's pretty happy about it.
He is pretty wrapped about that.
More bad news for Glenorchy boys. Josh Arnold appears to have a broken collarbone, so he could be out for a couple of weeks.
Unfortunate for the young teenager. As we said, came up to Glenorchy from Claremont. Nash has the free kick for the Magpies, who need to get a wriggle on. That's a good kick. Spencer, though, can't complete the uncontested mark. He's been a bit hot and cold today.
Take those ones.
French, is he legged? It'll be a free kick. Advantage paid. Here's a chance for the Magpies. Spencer, his hand pass, not a good one. David O'Gary under pressure from Gapin. The umpires said that Gapin held him without it. O'Gary moves it on quickly. Good kick. Hunt will mark. And he must go back and kick the goal.
It's super important he slots this one through. They need to get 2 or 3 very quick goals now to put any pressure on Clarence.
Well, he'll be kicking from a regulation 30 metres, pretty much directly in front. This to reduce the margin to 3 goals. Still plenty of time for Glenorchy. The game has gone in runs of goals, and they need to start one through Hunt, and he's banged it through.
A good kick.
2 goals to David Hunt, and Glenorchy still with a chance. Here it is on replay. It was a good kick. Gary moved it on quickly. Hunt on the lead. Had enough meterage on his opponent to take it uncontested, and a good finish.
It's a 3-goal break for Clarence. There's plenty of time. We've just ticked over 11 minutes. The umpire says rebounds.
They all rebounds.
I wonder if they're doing this at the junior level, because as the players are better in the senior level, I'm sure the umpires are as well. They could be having about 53 bounces a quarter.
Well, they're probably throwing it up, Alistair, there. That's probably why they can't bounce it now.
Archie wins that contest. He got it to Riley. Out wide to Thurley, the man of the moment. Setchell at ground level. Might get it back. Just doesn't hook it far enough on his left.
I don't
running
think
to the boundary.
Sorry, I don't think I've seen Ben Central have as many shots on goals in the game of footy in his entire career that he has today. So he's pushing forward. I know it's only 3 shots he's had, but it's 3 more than he normally does.
Usually has 3 a season, but
that's about it.
Sharman marks. He's going to send it back in. He handballs. Setchell sends it back in from the edge of the square. Not a bad kick. Over the defender's head. Camerick needs to be cool. Good shepherd applied. Nash. Dykes. Camerick has to change tact. His kick affected.
Oh, fantastic.
Lands for Thurley. Great stuff, Clarence. And Thurley may have kicked the sealer.
Fantastic pressure. Absolutely. Glenorchy just needed to clear the ball out of their 50, just get it out there, and 3 or 4 quick handballs close, and there's the pressure on them, and away they went. That's a great goal. It's a great play and good pickup.
Nash got it to Dykes. Dykes to Camerick. Worked hard. I think it was Swan that turned him around, and the smother, couldn't quite see who it was who got that smother on the kick from Camerick. Ends up with Thurley. He's kicked 3.
Yes. He's been very good.
I think it may have been Big Brad Dutton that got that smother, boys.
Thanks for that, Martin. Well, it's a goal-deciding one. And there's Thurley again. Must be Glenorchy supporters.
Yeah, they're just watching intently.
Well, what do you make of the crowd down there, Martin? Because so far we've had some excellent crowds for the games in the TSL.
I don't know if it's one of the best crowds we've seen this year, but I reckon there'd probably be 1,000 people here. There's certainly a lot of feeling in the game.
And a little bit more now as Sharman kicks another one.
Yeah, run onto that and picked up uses his good speed and kicked his 3rd.
It's starting to open up a little for the Roos.
They have got a lot of firepower down that forward line, don't they?
Indeed. Sharman, Dutton, Thurley, Drury, Whitelaw. Thurley was in the marking contest against the flow of play. Just had too much leg speed for Carlton. Did you play with him at the Devils?
Yeah, had a season with Sharmo.
31 points the margin. Inside 50 for Glenorchy. O'Gary, Bryce O'Gary gets a push in the back, maybe a little lucky. Set up the last goal.
They're desperate for another one now. He's probably a little bit too far out to kick it himself, I would have thought.
Well, he's looking reasonably confident. I don't even think he looked to give it off, so it must think he's in range. Lets it go from just inside 50. And he hasn't quite squeezed it in. In the sunshine at Bellerive, Jeremy Webberley to kick in.
He goes wide, looking for the coach. Finds him, cuts it inboard to Riley. Riley at centre field. Pumps it just outside 50. Sharman. It's just too strong for Carlton at the moment. Gets it moving. Tuxworth on 50. Long bomb in the Dutton direction. Muir got his hands to it. Kay mops up nicely. Clearance has to be effective, and so far it is. Bowering a little over the top. Finds Webb.
Webb. Crouch made a lead for him. He decided not to go there. This time, he spots up Pacelli. Pacelli's got a free man, Bryce O'Gary. O'Gary goes to the pocket. The kick not great, but Hunt runs onto it. Centres the ball. Absolutely no one there for Glenorchy. Cameron Blight eats it up. Sweeps the handball for Setchell. Clinton French applies the pressure. Now gets it back, needs to get rid of it. He got it out. Gapin working hard in there. French still going at it. Soccer's off the ground. French, well tackled. And pinged. Good tackle from Crouch. I think French could be a little disappointed. He didn't have it for all that long. So maybe, just maybe, still a glimmer of hope for Glenorchy. This must go through. Jesse Crouch has one goal this afternoon. On his left boot. Nice effort.
That's a good kick. Late in the day, just on 50. They definitely needed that goal. They need 2 or 3 very quick ones now. They need to get the ball out of the centre, straight into their forward line.
It's a good tackle. I think I'm with you, Alistair. Aaron French didn't have a lot of time. Wasn't much prior opportunity. Good kicking style from Jesse Crouch.
The free kicks were 7-1 early in the game. They're now 22-19 in favour of Clarence.
And Setchell gets them going again. Whitelaw sweeps on the spare ball. Drury. Good recovery with strength. Matty Drury did everything right except the last bit. Well, in fact, he did.
Yeah, I think he kicked it. Yeah.
Well, I was wondering what the umpire was doing. He'd been running all over the place. Matty Drury, great effort. Just strong at the ball.
And then just accelerate away from his opponent too. Just put the foot down. Just, you know, ran away from you there. And that's a good goal.
It's raining goals at Bellerive. We've had 9 in 18 minutes. Unfortunately for Magpie supporters, Clarence have kicked most of them. 7. And with accurate kicking, they've blown the margin out to 30 points again. Hit out one by Nash. Bowden. His kick didn't travel too far. It hit Setchell in the end, who gathers now and feeds it out. Bowering. Glenorchy are going to bring it forward through Crouch, who had to get rid of it quickly. Rowan Swan led Hunt in the race for the footy. O'Gary, who's done some good things in this term, wheels around on the left boot. And that kick just lands inside the field of play, and we'll have a throw in the forward pocket.
That's not a bad kick. He had nowhere to go to. There was no one inside on the goal square for him. So the sit up now and give an opportunity to do something is not a bad play there.
Glenorchy need to come in a rush if they're going to come. Palm down by Nash, Crouch, Cox, impossible angle. He would have needed to dislocate his knee to kick a goal from there.
Well, I don't think he would have been keen on that. Webley, who was very, very good early on, and that's a great kick. Swanee was the call, and that's who he found. Setchell might just sit for him. Campbell came from Adam Green, gives it to Thurley. It's been wonderful, and that's a great pass to Greg Sharman. And it's a bit of a party time at the moment for Clarence.
It's a bit of a... they're all jostling for position up there, the forwards, aren't they? They get on the end of it.
Wonderful kick to space from Cameron Thurley. Sharman has kicked 3 for number 4. As we've just ticked over 20 minutes of the final term, Greg Sharman leans back. And he missed. First time today.
Yeah, he's a good kick for goal. It's getting late in the day. You'll excuse him for that one.
3 goals to 1 to Sharman in his 50th for Clarence. Muir.
A little bit hard down back today. I reckon he'll learn a lot from today's game.
Kay along the wing, and needed to be centimetre perfect, but wasn't. Out of bounds on the full. True wing. Thurley been instrumental in Clarence's victory today. Setchell gave back to him. Setchell. And they've messed it up a little bit there. The experienced Clarence duo. Perhaps a bit of the sting gone out of this one now. Some tired bodies out there. Nash takes front position with Polanowski. O'Gary hasn't stopped trying. Brett Gapin in front position. Blight shoveled it out. Riley. They played at Smithton together, those two. Gale releases Weberly. He still seems to have plenty of dash. Goes to centre half forward. Mark taken. Sharman has really come into this game. Little chip. Dutton out on the lead. In fact, Archer. And Archer stretches those long arms and takes a 1-grab mark. A player who you think has a fair bit of up left in him, Trent Bartlett.
No, he's got a big future. He's a big young man and he's growing. And if he can keep leading and taking marks like that and using his athleticism around the ground, in the ruck and that, he's going to be a very good player.
Probably needed another 4 Glenorchy players to make that fight fair, I reckon.
Yeah, he's a big boy, Cameron.
Archer comes in, makes no mistake. Clarence home at Bellerive.
It's a good goal. He's pretty happy with that too, Daniel.
He's 16. He's a likely type at 16.
Oh, there's a lot of upside. There's definitely. He played a couple of under-18 games last year, and look, he acquitted himself quite well. But I think this year of playing, some senior footy beforehand against some men and some good players, just stand in good stead for these next couple of years in under-18 football, and obviously for the rest of this season.
Well, the Roos are starting to blow this one out. Big lead. It's been all Clarence this last term. Here they come. This time, Glenorchy have an opportunity through College. Goes to half forward. Swan to Gapin. To Weberly. Back to Gapin. Cutting inboard. Weberly pumps it inside 50 at the back. Sharman. He wanted to move it quickly. Squares it up. That could raffle it, and they virtually did. Whitelaw. Green. Over the top, Setchell. Handball. Dutton, number 5.
They are rattling it up there, aren't they?
Indeed.
They're all lining up to get on the end of it. That's just confidence, and like you said, the sting is out of the game. It was just who was going to be the last man on, and the end of it was the question then.
Sharman's presented himself this term. They all started running, squaring it up. They had numbers at every fall of the ball. In front of play. Setchell over the top.
It's a good structure they've got with Drury leading up forward. Then just behind him, you've got Sharman coming up with his athleticism. Then you've got Dutton, the big, strong body in the goal square. Even though he got the handball over the top, it was just a good structure they've got in their forward line.
Bowden to salvage some pride for the Pies. Half-distance kick, the sun was just shining in his eyes then, and French, he swooped. Furley was run down from behind. Terrific effort from Sammy Hills. Bowden gets it back to Hills. To half forward, the kick's pretty good. Might sit for O'Gary. Crouch wants to square it up. Pops it high. Good position. Cox is at the fall. With him is Tuxworth. Cox kept it alive. Now he's in some trouble. Swoops it out wide. Handball was intercepted by Riley to Blight. And the numbers favour Clarence. And it ends up with Gapin.
Goes toward the wing. The umpire spotted a free kick. It'll go the way of Clarence. Advantage paid. They bang long. Inside 50 again. Thurley was there. Dykes grabs for Glenorchy. Repels the attack. College takes the mark. Goes along the wing. Gapin getting back to make a contest with O'Gary. Good courage, leading by example. 7 goals the margin. Brad Dutton with 5 of them. Polanowski and Chivers. Riley there for Clarence. O'Gary now for Glenorchy. Bangs to the hot spot. Cox. Well done by Tuxworth. Off hands, through for a behind.
It's a big aim for Cox to play full forward.
It is. He's only very light. They need him carrying the ball into their forward line. And when they had that happening with Bowden, they looked dangerous.
To centre wing. Kick came from Tuxworth. Green decides to beat 3 of them. It was hard to do. Shivers. Touch ball play on was the call from the umpire. Cox all wrapped up.
They're certainly starting to look tired, both teams, aren't they, the boys? They've gone at it very, very hard today.
Shivers will take the contest. Polanowski got his hand to it. Rugby child barging his way through. The umpire says, I'll have it. Could have been in the back against Shivers. O'Brien picks him up. Yeah, Riley. Shivers won it. Webb. He's been clever in patches.
Yeah, he's looked good then.
Green.
Oh, good hands.
Forward of the ball, Weberly. Pumps it inside 50. Sharman, little shove. Drew his first attack. Setchel's there for the Roos. Might have been taken without it. Sharman got it to Drury. Banana bender. Matty Drury.
That's nice. That's a good goal. Number 3 for him. That was a very good goal. As easy as you like that one too, wasn't it?
Benny Setchel's attack was a good.
I think it was Benny that actually flicked the ball back up to Matty Drury then too. He sort of come back to him while he was on the ground.
Yep. Good hands, Benny Setchel.
And then just, thank you very much.
He's played terrifically well.
Oh, he's been fantastic. Yep. Look, he's been one of their best, 1 or 2 players, if not their best player.
Well, percentage now getting a kick for Clarence. Bowering out in front of Chivers. Chivers needs to cut back, or wants to. In the end, hand passes. Chance for Hills. Tucked away, should swing around and kick a goal, and he does.
It's a good little goal, that. They need a couple more. They need to get a bit of the percentage back, don't they? It's probably, they don't deserve to lose by 41 points for the standard of the game and what the boys have done today. So they need to get a couple of quick ones before the siren goes.
41 points the margin. Hills found himself some space. A good finish. And we have had a mountain of goals in the final quarter.
Just interesting.
13 goals.
Glenorchy wearing black armbands today for the grandfather of Aaron Cornelius, who passed away during the week.
Yeah, it's quite sad. I heard that. You mentioned them when they come into the studio. It's quite sad. It's good that the boys are showing respect.
He was a lovely bloke, Harold. Absolute fly fishing enthusiast. He practically lived up at Bronte Lagoon. And I know Aaron enjoyed going up there and fly fishing with him. Boundary throw in. Nash was in front position. Curley got the hit out. Gary again trying to bustle through. Green tackled without the footy. Adam Green to take the free kick. Longest quarter of the game. Clarence not far off celebrating a memorable win, their first against Glenorchy in 8 attempts. Nash put the hands up high, got rid of it. College sweeps the hand pass to Webb and gets it back again. Maybe a consolation goal coming up for the Magpies. Cox in front position, kept his feet, did well. Curley, Gary wants to take them on, got rid of it. Bowden should goal. Banana Central, we've seen plenty today, and we've seen a great win for the Clarence Football Club. Hadn't beaten Glenorchy since round 8, 2007 of the SFL. There was a grand final loss in there as well. They've put on the traditional maroon and white today, and a vintage performance from the Roos.
Yeah, they were certainly very impressive. Once they got their game plan, got their structure right up forward and started moving the ball quickly in there, that was it was all over. Cameron Thurley was just outstanding down back early with mopping it up, and then obviously when he went into the midfield, then he went forward. Really set them up, especially late last quarter.
Budgie's pretty happy?
Yeah, Budgie be very happy with that. That's his first win as a coach, so he'd have to be happy with that. Yeah, so he's had to win the loss. He's tasted both now, and obviously the victory would be a lot sweeter. So, and look, he was fantastic there as well, Brett. Yeah. Led from the front, gets a lot of the football, sets up play. It was ironically that he seemed to find Setchell, or Setchell found Brett quite a lot during the game, didn't they? That's just, I suppose, playing a lot of football with each other that tends to happen.
Their experienced campaigners really stood up today, didn't they? Gapin got a lot of it, Thurley got a lot of it, Setchell got a lot of it, and then those key marking targets that had moments of the game where they weren't overly involved, they really came to the fore towards the end in Dutton and Sharman.
Yeah, look, also Matty Drury in there. I thought Matty was absolutely terrific today. If he wasn't the best 2 or 3 players today, look, he just led and took mark after mark and got it on quickly, and was rewarded with 3 goals, I think it was, at the end.
Yeah, great game, and he took mark after mark. I don't think they probably paid him enough respect, really, did they?
No, they didn't, and he got a lot of the footy up around half forward and worked back into the inside 50. Thurley Cameron Thurley on screen there.
With Jay Bowden.
With Jay. Look, Jay was good. Yep. Jay was good in patches. He's got to learn from that, I reckon, Jay. He needs to be the guy that gets the football and carries it into their forward 50, because they look dangerous, Glenorchy, when they carried and moved the ball quickly. They've got some young forwards that just need to work on their marking, and they're going to be a good side too, I think, Glenorchy.
Clarence, a good mix of young and old. Here are the match stats. They had more of the ball today, 307 possessions as opposed to 256. That's a fair bit more of the ball. They had 24 more marks. Inside 50s, they closed the gap a bit in the end. It was 54-47, so Glenorchy had plenty of opportunities and were fairly inaccurate today, it must be said, with 31 scoring shots to 26. Usually you would think that would translate into a win to the Magpies, but not on this occasion. The ruck contests won significantly by Glenorchy, yet they didn't always get first use out of the centre, Trent.
Now, look, centre clearances was pretty even, 15-17. There's not a lot in that. Look, I think the big difference is Glenorchy went inside their 54 times. They really need to highlight, they need to take some more marks inside their 50 so they can kick more goals from set shots. That's what they need to do.
There was a bit of a show of emotion from Nick Payne, who's suspended at the moment, and the coach, Brett Gapin. He's another player to come back, Nick Payne, and gives them a massive amount of midfield drive. It looks like this win has meant a lot. Let's find out from one of the players who's with Martin Cudahy.
That's right, boys. I've got Cameron Thurley with me. Thurls, you must have been pretty happy with that effort.
Oh, it's fantastic. I think it's real 22 guys out there really committed towards each other, and that was a massive focus during the week. We thought, obviously, after our first game, we read a few comments in the paper and really gelled together, and it showed. Obviously, started really well and then lapsed a little bit in the second quarter, but really fought back well and ran on with it, so it was really good.
Glenorchy really came at you in that second quarter. What was said that made you boys come back so hard?
I think it's obviously just got back to our process and what we set up during the before the game. And that's all it really was, and we were pretty confident that we held them in that second quarter. They come back, but we held them, and we knew that if we got the score on the board, we could really run over the top of them, so it was fantastic.
How important was today, considering, you know, you did have the loss first up, and it is that cup today on the line?
Yeah, I think the stats haven't, we haven't won this game for, I think, last seven times, so we certainly didn't want to go to Burnie 0-2, and that was another focus, and looks like we don't have to. We're 1-1, and this is where the season really starts, so can't wait for next week.
Were you happy with your own performance? You got your hands on it plenty of times, and I noticed one celebration after a goal down here.
Yeah, it's obviously been playing down back lately, so to get myself in the middle and go up forward is fantastic. When you kick a goal, it's nothing better, so no, it's fantastic.
What's the feeling around the club?
Yeah, pretty good. Obviously, there's a lot of us that played back in 2000, and we've sort of come back now. So a really good feeling. We've got some good young blokes. The reserves are won their last 2 games, so they're flying. So hopefully we can carry this on and have a good year.
There's a bit of a devil's flavour about some of the Clarence boys. Yourself, Ben Setchell and Brett Gapin. Were you happy with the way that you boys could continue that those combinations?
Yeah, that was something we definitely did talk about. We sort of wanted, once the Devils demise, I guess, we really wanted to stick together, and we're fortunate enough that Clarence were keen to get us on board, and we're happy to be here, so it's fantastic. So.
Thanks very much,
Cheers.
Cameron Thurley. Best on ground. Well done, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Another great game, and we do set high standards of Cameron Thurley. We expect 30 possessions is a par performance from him, and he certainly delivered today, Trent.
Yeah, look, it was sensational. Look, he did his job down back, which is what he does. He mops up, he sets up the play, but I really think he was instrumental when he went into the midfield and got the ball out, got the ball forward, he kicked some goals, and then obviously went forward and became a target as well. He was sensational.
Let's get into that huddle. Great performance by Clarence this afternoon, winning the game by 35 points. And when you've got a run of outs against any team, you don't like it, do you? But when you've got a run of outs against your arch rival, you really don't like it. And they've really celebrated that win there. It meant a lot to them, didn't it?
It did. And look, I think it's a pretty different sort of Clarence group as well. Like, it's a few new faces, that sort of stuff, and to lose, you know, 7 or 8 times to your arch rival, then to have a win, and Brett's first win as a coach as well. It's just so much emotion in the game of footy, and those boys just obviously they love the game, they love Clarence, and they want to win games of footy.
It was interesting to see that Brett Gapin wasn't going to sing the song until Cameron Thurley was freed up. There's that really strong bond there, isn't there? He waited for him to finish his interview and then get with the boys and sing the song with gusto. Yeah,
look, that's just inclusion. That's just getting everyone, because he was obviously a big part of it, best on ground. Thought Matty Drew was fantastic as well. But look, there's something about singing the song, and it doesn't matter if you're your first game player or you've played 100 games at the club, or if you don't know the song, you just get it. It's just being involved, and you get the support staff in, you get the coaches in, everybody's involved in it. It's a great feeling to sing the song when you've won a game of footy.
Let's find out just how much Brett Gapin enjoyed that then.
Well, Brett Gapin, Alistair Nicholson wants to know how good does it feel singing that song?
Oh, fantastic. I haven't sung it myself personally for many, many years, but and against Glenorchy, our arch rivals, and a must-win game. Obviously, happen to travel to Burnie next week, so yeah, fantastic. Couldn't be happier.
And we noticed that you didn't start singing until Thurls had finished up with us.
No, our theme all the week's been as a team. We didn't really play as a team last week and didn't really gel together, but I thought that part of our game was fantastic. And right to the end, even when the game was finished, we still want to do everything together.
You really managed to bounce back after they came at you in the second quarter there. What did you say to the boys?
Oh, nothing. We're a good footy side when we play well, but like everyone else, if we drop our guard, in the modern games, sides can get runs on. So I knew I had faith in the group. Just had to grind away. I didn't expect it to blow open like that early, but to our credit, we ran away with the game.
And next week in Burnie is going to be tough up on the northwest coast.
Absolutely. Again, this was a must-win game because we couldn't afford to be going there 0-2. But again, we want to win every game. We're confident of the group, so looking forward to the challenge.
Good on you, Budge. Thanks.
Thanks, mate.
A very happy Clarence coach there, Brett Gapin, celebrating his first win as coach, and I guess that takes a little bit of pressure off him, Trent.
It does. Look, he's had a loss and a win, only needs a draw now, but he wants plenty more wins, I suspect. Look, I've never coached, so I don't know what it's like to be the coach of a winning side, but I would suspect it's a hell of a lot better than losing.
He's a pretty passionate sort of a fella, isn't he? He doesn't do anything by half measures, and we saw on many occasions today that he was the first in there, leading by example. He puts his body on the line, and he really is someone that those young Clarence players can watch the way he goes about it, and he really sets a standard, doesn't he?
Yeah, look, I think it's important too because he is injured. He's going to go and get a knee operation, I believe. So I think he wanted to be part of a win. He's coaching. He wants to really be on the ground, setting an example, and he knows he's not going to be able to do for 3 or 4 weeks once he's had the operation. So I think it was important for him to really lead by example. Did it last week. They didn't get over the line. Did it this week, and they've got over the line. So it's great for him.
And significantly, that'll put on percentage Clarence above Glenorchy on the ladder, so a double victory for them.
Double victory for them.
All right, and some of the players that impressed you today then, Trent. We've spoken a bit about Thurley, we've spoken a bit about Setchell, we've spoken about Brett Gapin, but what about some of the younger players in the Clarence list who you thought stood up today?
Oh, look, I've got to go back to Jury, because before we go through there, because I think Jury was terrific. Look, at the start of the game, he was the forward presenting, and he really opened their forward line up by coming outside 50 and leading and taking some marks. And look, he was very good, and you don't underestimate it. He did a lot of work outside 50, set a lot of goals up, and then he went on and kicked, I think it was 3 goals. But they were little goals. He snapped one right at the end there. He got his reward at the end of the game, but he did all his hard work in that first half, and I thought he was just absolutely sensational. Now, you've got me blank now, mate, so first time on telly, so...
Mate, you've done an exceptional job, but some of the young players, Jeremy Webberley was very good for Clarence again today, and I thought Daniel Archer in particular, he shows plenty.
Yeah, look, Daniel Archer is a big young man. He's only 16 years of age. He's got a lot of upside, and he's got... when he matures into his body, he's going to... Big guys take a bit of time to mature, and he's probably not going to mature till he's 22, 23 as a footballer. So if he's playing like that when he's 16 against men, he's just going to get better and better. Wembley, he was carried the ball really well, I thought. Got a lot of the football and was quite impressive. I hadn't seen much of him at all before, so they tend to, when they're playing their footy and they're playing it well, they carry the ball and they open up and have space for each other, Clarences. And when they did that, they kicked goals and kicked into the forward line, and the young guys just linked up well.
What about Glenorchy today? Because at quarter time they were down. They looked like they were struggling in the second term. I think the margin blew out to about 19 points midway through, and then they fought their way back into the game.
Yeah, look, I think they structured up a little bit differently. They really opened their forward line up so they could get the ball in fast. They won a lot of football at stoppages late in that second quarter, which really got them going. Look, their captain's inspirational. He really is. Look, I watched him closely in the last probably 5 minutes, and he was literally dead on the legs. You know, he couldn't do anything else, and he really led by the front and led with example. And you know, if they got players and a captain like him that do that, they're going to go a long way in this season.
We might try and have a look at a few match highlights in a moment, because there were some fantastic goals, weren't there, today, and lots of fantastic performances across the ground. One person who I think really would have enjoyed the win, though, today for Clarence is Stuart Spencer. I know he was the special guest at the luncheon, the maroon and white luncheon this afternoon, and Clarence, he's got a stand at the ground named after him, and we caught up with him a little earlier in the day.
Thanks very much, boys. Well, it's good to be down here with Stuart Spencer. Stuart, what are you making of the new competition down in Tasmanian football?
Well, I was apprehensive about it initially because of the previous state competition really was, a grave error in judgment as far as administration. But now I'm seeing, a revamped statewide competition. It gives me some encouragement that it got an opportunity to get the people back to the game. More particularly, and what I spoke about in the media yesterday, that I think it's so important that the statewide competition ought to have the opportunity to play curtain raisers at the main AFL games. And I'm talking about, using Aurora Stadium as, say, for playing the Victorian-based club because they've got a stronger supporter base, and we're playing here for the other states like Adelaide, Perth, Sydney and Brisbane. And I think that this oval, as far as accommodation go, and the surface and the facilities it's worthwhile considering. But the more you read about, and I'm not privy to the details between the Tasmanian government, the AFL. But if that situation not locked in, I believe it ought to be shared in the manner which I say, because remembering 2/3 of the population are south of Tasmania, is south of Oakland, and after all, Hobart is the capital.
That's right, and as far as this competition is concerned, do you think perhaps that it could be a good feeder competition to one day an AFL team in Tasmania? It's that question. Do you think Tasmania deserves it?
I've sort of been here as a promotional exercise in support of the government and their quest to get the next permit for the 18th team, because I believe they have the qualification, the background of 150 years playing this Aussie rules, as opposed to the West Parramatta area where the culture's wrong. They don't play our code there. And in my view, they have little interest or any knowledge of the Australian rules whatsoever. So whilst Demetrio is paying some degree of lip service to the Tasmanian government, and he still promotes very strongly his wish to have a second team in the competition. Now, it was a wish of his to have developed that in the near future. I think it's become an obsession where he seems to be playing all the runs, and I don't see anything coming from the Commission and opposing the view, because, you know, irrespective, when you have a situation where he is now, that it is an obsession, then logic goes out the wall. Irrespective of public opinion, and also, you know, financial results would be, in my view, disaster for a long, long time.
Thank you very much. There you go. You've heard it straight from the mouth of one of the legends of the game, a Melbourne Demon legend too, I might add. Stuart Spencer, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Well, he certainly is a legend, Smiley. He played in a couple of premierships with the Demons, won the best and fairest both years. He played for Tassie in the 1960 win over Victoria. That was another memorable one. He's been the president of Melbourne, and he's had some pretty harsh words to say about Andrew Demetriou, basically saying that he's the only one driving the plans to expand into Western Sydney, and it's illogical, basically.
Well, the only thing I know about Andrew Demetriou, he's not driving Tassie's push to the AFL at the moment. I'm not sure why they're doing Western Sydney, but I would love to see a Tasmanian AFL side. It's a little way off now at the moment, I think, given the push for Western Sydney, but it's really interesting to hear Stuart Spencer, a legend of the game.
I think, interestingly, in the last couple of times we've heard from Andrew Demetriou on the topic of a Tasmanian team, the first time we heard from him maybe a year ago, he said, you'll never have a team. The next time we heard from him about 6 months later, he said, the door's not completely closed. And the last time, most recently, we heard from him, he said that Tasmania's next in line. So perhaps if Western Sydney falls over, there's a chance that Tassie, if ready to go, will slot straight in, Smiley.
And judging on today's performance, they're not that far off, you know. The competition has been good the last 3 weeks here in the statewide league, and I was really impressed with the way Clarence went about it today.
They were good winners, weren't they? 35 points was the final margin here at Bellerive Oval. Their arch rival, Glenorchy, they have defeated, and it was for the first time in 8 games that they had beaten Glenorchy, and they really came out breathing fire, particularly after that loss to North Hobart last week, where they led for 3 quarters and fell at the final hurdle.
That was a really interesting thing for me. If there was one area I was a bit concerned about in Clarence, was their capacity to run the game out on the big Bellerive Oval. 10-goal last term, which was very much in stark contrast to last week when they were playing at North Hobart, which is a smaller ground too, for that matter, to Glenorchy's 4 goals in the last term. They were just wonderful. They were running, and they had some big targets up forward, and they didn't get smaller.
Brad Dutton, we spoke a bit about his return to football this season from a series of knee problems. He's had radical knee surgery. He kicked 3 last week against North Hobart, and today he just got better and better, didn't he?
He was fantastic, and the bloke beneath him, and Cameron Thurley. We talked a lot about some of the parents and the fathers and sons, should I say, really, to be frank, who are running around there today. Triffett, you had Dykes, you had Curley, you had Bowden, but Cameron Thurley's dad, John Thurley, is also a great player, premiership player for North Hobart as well, and I think may have also been for Clarence, coached Hobart, but John Thurley, just a terrific player as well.
I am enjoying that aspect of this new competition, actually, Smiley, because there are players that you heard of from the glory days of Tasmanian football, and then you see the next generation come on.
Indeed.
Imagine if you had a young son running out there, he'd be a star.
Oh, I'm delighted to have two daughters, and I don't think either of them will play football.
Let's take a look at the highlights from today's game. And as I said before, we had numerous highlights in a fantastic contest here at Bellerive Oval this afternoon. And Clarence, if you roll the highlight tape for them, there were many.
And Drury got the handball from Dutton, and Matty Drury was absolutely wonderful. He was wonderful all day. He actually sparked Clarence, in my view, in the first term. And Dutton just gave him the handball, and then Dutton sort of scored one himself from impossible angles. He's kicked a couple, Brad Dutton, from impossible angles, and wasn't Cameron Thurley terrific today?
Yeah, he was fantastic, and he's so smart with the ball as well. Here's David Hunt kicking a goal who, in glimpses, he looked like he's going to be a good player for Glenorchy. We know he's kicked bags of goals before at the level beneath, but this is another step up, isn't it?
When they did have some space, the Glenorchy forwards, they were good, but they just weren't quite as strong in the contest. Sharman there was just ferocious at the ball, and a couple of times Dutton, he just knew he was going to mark it the way the ball was delivered and the way he was positioned.
This is Matty Drury getting around and goaling, and Trent Bartlett was spot on when he said that he had a gem of a game. I like this young guy. He's only 16. That's Archer, and they recruited him from Kingborough. Dutton kicked 5 goals and a little banana to finish. The party tricks came out towards the end. Here's a neat finish from Sam Hills, and the final goal of the game to Jay Bowden was another banana.
Absolutely, and Jay Bowden, he's probably Glenorchy's most skillful player, and a couple of times he had a couple of opportunities in the third term to kick goals, and he normally would swallow them. He deserved a goal in the end. I think he kicked 3 in the end, but those couple of misses might have just smoothed the momentum Glenorchy's way and would have given them a lead, possibly at three-quarter time. And who knows, the game's are ifs and buts, but Clarence certainly deserved to win.
Well, the Clarence big men flew today. Martin Cutter, he's got one of those big men down at ground level.
Thanks, Alistair. Yeah, Brad Dutton, you must have been pretty pleased to kick a bag of goals this afternoon.
Yeah, it was good, mate. It was. We focused pretty heavily as a team on the contested ball today, and after a disappointing performance last week, we were pretty keen to perform today in our old traditional strip. So, and to kick a few goals was a bonus as well.
I think it's been 8 years since you managed to win this cup. What does that mean to the club?
Yeah, look, it was a huge game. Brett sort of emphasised that outside of finals performance today was probably the biggest stage for us, and we were all pretty keen to obviously make amends from last week because we were very disappointed in our performance, and also put us 1-1 and head to Burnie with our heads up in the air and ready to go.
What about personally? Were you happy with the way you played?
Yeah, look, I think I was pretty ordinary early, but later in the second half it was an easier way to get out in the open. It was quite good, but still a lot of room for improvement, and hopefully as a group we can go a lot further.
The boys mentioned that you've had some cartilage going in the laboratory. You've had about 13 operations on those knees of yours. Do you think you're moving as good as you have moved?
Yeah, look, I think I probably am. I'm a little bit older, but done a hell of a lot of work with Rick Langford. He's been outstanding and sort of been training now since about July last year. So did a lot of work to try and get the legs strong enough to be able to play, and it's been great to be able to get back out here again.
Must be nice too to be on the receiving end when those boys in the midfield just send it long.
Yeah, look, fortunate enough to have guys like Thurley and Brett Gapin and the guys that kick the ball just unbelievably. Makes our job a hell of a lot easier down back. So.
Be happy to take the goals though.
Yeah, look, definitely. I said to a couple of the boys I gave a cheap one off, so I was hoping for one back. It's always nice to kick a few. So,
Brad Dutton, thanks for your time.
Thanks very much.
Another son of a gun.
Indeed, yeah, indeed. They just pop up everywhere, don't they? Yeah, his dad played for Launceston as well as Clarence, so a great player. Great player, Robbie Dutton.
He mentioned Ricky Langford there, the support staff that Clarence have around them. They're a professional unit. We mentioned Gavin Cooney is assisting with the bench coaching. Danny Noonan was there today. Incidentally, Gavin turned 40 yesterday, so many happy returns to Gavin. And Ricky Langford, who's done work with the Tassie Tigers as well as the Tasmanian Devils. So they're a pretty professional outfit, aren't they?
Indeed, and you mentioned early in the program that Chris Rewalt is running for the reserves for Clarence, and he's got a lot of football experience and a lot of football nous as cabbage.
Well, we saw a bit of a beauty here in the end. Clarence ran away to win by 35 points. All the games in the TSL today being played on the Saturday, which is a little rare. They are getting a little innovative with the fixture for this season. South Launceston's gone down to Burnie. In the end, they trailed by 50 points at half-time, and in the end they've fought back a little, Smiley, but still gone down by close to 7 goals.
Burnie looking good. Burnie, Justin Plapp's got them looking pretty good up there, but the good thing about South Launceston is they just didn't give it away.
This is really pleasing to see because Launceston had it absolutely all over Hobart at half-time, and then Hobart's managed to fight back with some good accurate kicking, and a 33-point margin against Launceston at Windsor Park for a team coming off a 92-point belting is a reasonable performance.
Indeed, they'd be pretty happy. No one's happy to lose, but they'd be happier with the way, again, they've managed to hang in that contest.
And a bit of a thriller down at the windswept Lauderdale Oval, and the home team's fans will walk away disappointed because North Hobart has made it back-to-back wins to start the TSL. They've won that game by 5 points down there. And a couple of North Hobart boys in Kane Richter and Cam de Goya playing with Lauderdale now, so I'm sure it would have been an entertaining battle down there.
Indeed, indeed. And won't the Gapin family be happy tonight?
They certainly will be. A couple of wins. I wonder if the mum and dad are in the state this time, because last week they had to flee, didn't they?
Indeed. One of them might have come here today and one gone to Lauderdale.
They're keeping it even. Now, Rick Finlay has updated the ladder for me, and I'll tell you that North Launceston, which is playing Devonport tonight under lights at Devonport Oval, with their 2 wins, they still remain on top of the ladder on percentage from North Hobart. Launceston also has 2 wins along with Burnie in 4th position, Lauderdale in 5th, Clarence in 6th, and Glenorchy, the team that won the last 2 SFL premierships, in 7th position.
Yes, well, it's early days though, early days, Alistair, but it's interesting to see that I think the table's going to turn around a little as we move through the season.
You see it a bit with teams, don't you? Because Hawthorn has made a pretty slow start in his premiership defence in the AFL, and there's not an enormous incentive to be playing peak football at this time of the year, is there?
I think one of the interesting things will be how southern teams travel and how the northern teams travel down south.
Let's take a look at the goal of the day from this afternoon's game, Smiley. There were so many goals, it was practically raining them. You almost needed an umbrella out there, but this is the one adjudged goal of the day, and it was a beauty.
It was indeed. Look, and the effort here from Benny Setchell, he's taken the ground, he's out of the contest, clever little hands to Matty Drury, standing start. And that's at the end of the game. When you're able to play tricks like that at the end of a contest, it's just wonderful to watch.
Certainly was, and we'll have more games coming up in the TSL next Saturday. But we've got the week off, Smiley. Our facilities are being taken up and used on the Anzac Day service. So
and rightly so.
Absolutely, but we will be back in a couple of weeks' time. Let's take a look at next week's games. North Launceston versus South Launceston at York Park, a couple of old rivals there. Glenorchy versus North Hobart. Glenorchy really need to bounce back. They don't want to be losing another game next week to the Demons, that at KG5. Lauderdale versus Hobart, a second home game for Lauderdale next week, a chance to bounce back.
That will be a good contest.
Should be a good contest. Burnie versus Clarence, 2 old rivals I used to love watching when I was a boy. Launceston versus Devonport on Sunday, as well as that game with Burnie on Sunday. So, Smiley, have a good week off, mate. You've deserved it. Wonderful job today and great performance from Trent Bartlett. Thanks for your company this afternoon. We'll see you on TSL Footy Action, ABC 1, next time from a ground near you.